Oh. They look pretty lumped up, these ladies. Tonight we're going to have a little fun. We're going to discuss women's MMA in the UFC. Do you like it? Do you not like it? We're going to talk about Dana White. He says he's never going to retire, ever. UFC news. Let's get right to it.
It's time for the MMA-Holes!
From the Style Studios of Arizona, we're live with the Wonderful. Welcome. My name is Chris, Mystic Moss, King of the Dragons. Old school dragon shirt. I'll be your host for the evening. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure you hit the like button if you're not subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell and all that fun stuff. We got a debate that we're going to talk about tonight between women's MMA. Should it or should it not be in the UFC? We're going to find out if you're a simp. We're going to find out if you're an incel. We're going to find out tonight and talk about all the fun stuff that's in the UFC news. The UFC coming back, and we're going to watch some carnage coming up. Before we get into it, let's talk about mybookie.ag. The promo code is MMA-HOLES for a 10% match on your first deposit. Going over to mybookie.ag, use the code MMA-HOLES and win big. Also, only one rollover. Yeah! Come on.
Wonderful.
All right, at mybookie.ag. Down in the description, ESPN Plus, if you want to watch the fights that are coming up, if you want to watch the pay-per-views, the Contender Series, the Ultimate Fighter, go click the link in the description, and everyone uses our link. We get a little piece of the pie. Follow us on Clash TV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's good to see you here tonight as we put a poll up on our community section on YouTube. Many have voted, and I screenshotted that. I threw it on Twitter, and many have debated about women's MMA. Now, me as a host of a show that covers the sport of combat, the UFC in particular is where we spend most of our time. I was scratching my head and I was saying, I wonder, Sean Strickland's been throwing things out there saying that, women's MMA is this, women's MMA is that. You could probably beat up the champion and blah, blah, blah. Raquel Pennington becomes the champion. She did a great job. Upset Buena Silva. There are some good fights and there are some bad fights. But tonight, we're going to figure out, should they be allowed to fight in the UFC? Or, and I think I have a good option, should they have the WUFC? Now, we've brought this up before, and a lot of people were against the WUFC, but many have complained. Now, I will say this, before I give you my full-blown opinion on the situation, I will say this. I do think it is interesting how the UFC does mix men and women, in the sport. When you look at other sports, there's no other that does that. Now, boxing has women's boxing. You have your women's champs, and they're trying to really push that and make the Serranos and I don't know any other Shields, Clarissa Shields. But my conversation tonight with you guys is this. Like, would we miss it if WMMA was gone, right? Would we miss it? Would we lose any sleep? Would we be like, well, I'm not going to watch the UFC anymore? I'm not trying to ish on women. I'm not trying to be a misogynist. I'm not trying to say, well, I just hate females. Now, I did put a fun poll in the chat, and you may think that I am a misogynist, and you have every right to think that because the poll, well, what does it say? It says, should women be allowed out of the kitchen to fight in the UFC? I think it's a great question. Right now, 56% say yes, they should be allowed out of the kitchen to fight in the UFC, and 44% say no, they should stay in the kitchen. So we're going to leave that poll up the entire night. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get triggered by this. Now, I've noticed, and the reason why we're doing this stream on this is, well, first off, we didn't have any fights on Saturday. And second, when I put it on Twitter, I noticed there was some very, how do I say this? What's the word I'm looking for? Emotional responses and people calling names and saying, well, you don't like this because you're an incel, or you don't like that because you're a simp, or you do like that because you're a simp, right? We see a lot of that. And I've noticed on the internet, if you run out of things to say, and I've been guilty of this as well, I'll say, well, you're a simp. Well, you're an incel. But at the end of the day, I think we're all entitled to an opinion here. Now, votes are good ways to gauge should this or shouldn't this be a thing. And lucky for the people that like women's MMA, the poll's still swaying a tad bit in favor of keeping the women in the sport. Now, I have a poll in the chat right now, and that looks a little bit different. So let's see this. And maybe by the end of the stream, we'll have a solid opinion or way we're going to go with this thing. But look at this. Should women, and this is the joke, basically, should women be in the UFC or not? And right now, 51% went no. Okay, before, when I was just talking about it, it was slightly in the direction of yes. And we'll leave this thing up. And honestly, take the joke aside and just have, give me your honest opinion. Like, honestly, would you lose any sleep if it was gone? You know what I'm saying? I have a daughter. Say my daughter wants to get into mixed martial arts and she wants to be a UFC fighter, right? I mean, wouldn't be the best route for me. Like, as a father, I don't know if I want either of my kids to be in the UFC, because when I speak to UFC fighters, they say, well, I don't want my kids in the UFC. I want them to train. I want them to be able to defend themselves. But I don't know if they want to. I want them to be like daddy. I don't know if I want them to be like mommy. You know what I'm saying? And that's a natural thing. You don't want to see your kids hurt in any way. But if it is the choice they choose, and my daughter says, I want to be a mixed martial artist, I want to be a UFC champion, of course I'd support her. But would I want to watch it? Well, of course, I'm her father. But would other people want to watch it? People that don't have daughters that compete. Or would my wife want to watch it? Considering she said on many occasions on our streams, she said, this is terrible. I hate women's MMA. I mean, she's gone on and on about it, crapping on women's MMA. She's a female. Would she be an incel? Or would she be a woman that just does not want to see it? Some people look at it this way, too, and they say that, well, if you don't want women in the sport, you're gay. What kind of argument is that? I don't want to see women's MMA, I'm gay? Well, that's interesting. It's an interesting argument, because I just don't want to see women get beat up, or I could possibly just be bored by it. If you go to any sports, let me give you an example. In the UFC, you're watching the UFC, and then in between the men's fights, there's a women's fight, and sometimes they're great. Yeah, sometimes they are good, but majority of the time, it's a decision. It's a point fest. One's laying on the other one, or they're just pitter-pattering. You know no one's going to get knocked out. You know no one's going to get submitted. You're basically, all right, this is going to the judges. I mean, that's a big percentage of the time, right? In basketball, in hockey, in football, in baseball, I don't know. Let's use one of the sports. Let's just say basketball, for instance, right? Could you imagine you're watching the first quarter of basketball, right? You're watching the boys go, and then after that, let's drag the women out, and then have them compete, and then in the second quarter, you're back to the boys again. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, in basketball, you have WNBA. You have your own league, right, with women, and they compete, and, the best team wins. The best athletes are the biggest stars, right? They have their own team. But because no one watches the WNBA, people are like, well, we got to combine it with the men. Why? We have Invicta. Does anyone, I bet people don't even know Invicta exists. I know they exist. I couldn't tell you when the next event's going to start. It's not because I hate women. It's because I'd be bored out of my mind. I've covered women's events in Invicta events before. I've covered women's events in the regional scene. There have been some good fights, but majority of the time, we know what's happening here. We know the outcome of this thing. One of my favorite fighters happens to be Chris Cyborg. Now, if you were to ask me, one fighter on the UFC roster, okay, pick one women's fighter on the UFC roster that I would truly miss if they were gone, I couldn't name one. And I love Zhang Weili. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of her. But If she retired or she wanted to be a mom or she just said I had enough or whatever, I wouldn't care. I just would not give a shit. Also, can you please name me the woman that you would love to see headline a pay-per-view on the UFC roster? I couldn't fucking name one. Now, I got to be honest with you. Chris Cyborg, if she was still in the UFC, I could make an argument. I'm a fan. I'm a straight up fan of Chris Cyborg. If Chris Cyborg fights, I'm in. I'm invested. I love the way she fights. I love everything about her. Even though she was a little bit of a problem in the UFC, I'm a fan of Chris Cyborg. She's not in the UFC. I see in the chat, I see people commenting over there. I'm curious what you think about this because I think I'm making some valid points. And maybe the cat is out of the bag and you know which way I'm leaning. When Jessie used to, my co-host, my wife, when she used to call fights and complain about women's fights, I used to say, hey, give it the benefit of the doubt. You know, these girls are very good. I used to play that role for a while. It's time for me not to play that role anymore and be completely honest and transparent with you guys. If it was gone, it's the God's honest truth, we would not give a shit. I see Ronda Rousey. Now, when Ronda Rousey came into the sport, she dragged so many new fans in. When I was even watching the fights, I was like, this is so much fun. I loved Ronda. Whether you liked her, whether you hated her, I was a fan because it was a fucking train wreck. It was the crazy mean mug walkout. People were like, oh, this bitch is going to lose. Joe Rogan saying she could beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight. Like, everyone is the aura, the way they packaged this star. Women's MMA was way better when they were shittier athletes. It's the God's honest truth. When Ronda came in, it was so much fun because she was like a female Mike Tyson, just finishing broads left and right. How long are the ladies going to last? That was fun. That ship has sailed. It's gone. And even Chris Cyborg was in that boat too because she was running over people and she was steroided up even better. That ship has sailed. People say Amanda Nunes. I have been in the building for multiple Amanda Nunes fights where the crowd was booing and it was deafening. Deafening. She's fantastic. Probably the greatest female fighter of all time in the limited time it's been in existence. But I have been in the building. Shevchenko Nunes won. And the whole damn crowd was booing the hell out of her. I have been drunk as a skunk covering fights in another Shevchenko Nunes fight. And I was like, please, can this end? It's literally like I'm being tortured. But she's a beast. She's fantastic. She really is. She's very, very good. She was far ahead of everyone else. She did lose to Pena. That was a great upset. But it's few and far between. And I think people need to understand, you know, yes, there are people out there that are crying and saying, oh, fuck women. And, you know, like they're probably going with the argument like women stay in the kitchen and like the joke that's in the chat, right? There are people that think that. But I don't think majority of the people are those people. I think a majority of people are just genuinely bored. My father watched the UFC before me. My father would record the UFC and skip every female fight. And even to this day, if it is recorded, you can guarantee Pop is going to fucking fast forward through the girls. It's not because he hates women. It's not the case. He doesn't want to be bored. It's the God's honest truth. It's why bare knuckle is so much fun because the women's fights in bare knuckle are actually very entertaining. It's very dangerous. They're cutting each other up to beat the crap. It's like watching a lunchroom fight when you were a kid. The girl fights were always the best. But in sports as in general, right? Unless you're curbing the rules in some sort of way, if you're trying to have them compete with what the men are doing, it will never, ever be the same. It will never be the same. It's just how it is. And it's not like I'm trying to give you a dated opinion. It's not that I'm saying, hey, I don't want to see women fight ever again. No, what I'm saying is separate it. I think that's a fair thing to do. You separate the events. Have a fight night. Have a pay-per-view of just women. I mean, if people are really that serious about women competing, give them their stage. The UFC, WUFC have events. Start it off in the Apex. See how it works. You start building stars. Headline pay-per-views. Let me know how many buys they get. Let me know. Because if I'm not mistaken, the WNBA doesn't do nearly what the NBA does. Let me know how that works. So, listen. Perhaps I'm an incel. You know, because I have this take, I have this opinion. Maybe I am an incel. Well, wait, I do get laid. Well, maybe I'm a misogynist. Oh, wait, I have a daughter, and I would love to see her achieve all the greatness that she would like to achieve. But I wouldn't want to see my daughter compete in the UFC with a bunch of men screaming and yelling, get the fuck, this is a bathroom break. Yeah, so I brought up Invicta before. Invicta's a thing, and no one watches it. I don't even know if it's still a thing, is it? Invicta, when's the next event? Can anyone tell me in the chat? You can even Google it. When is the next Invicta event? When is it? Someone tell me, big women's MMA fans. The 48% that say take him out of the kitchen in the poll. The 48% that say take him out of the kitchen. I want you to tell me, when's the next Invicta event, you big WMMA fans? And then I have other people saying, well, watch the other organizations. Watch those because you see some great women's fights. I know there's some good women's fights. There are, but they're few and far between. They are. I mean, it's just how it is. Here we go. WMMA scene. Invicta doesn't have an event scheduled right now. See, look at this. They don't even have it. And here's the reason why. There's a couple of reasons. In WMMA scene, I got to give him credit. He's been in the community for a while, and he loves WMMA. He hasn't rage quit. He hasn't left from my harsh words on WMMA, but I think he understands that when it comes down to it, there's a big gap between men's MMA and women's MMA because the talent pool is a lot less. A lot of women just don't want to jump in a cage and fight. I've seen it on the regional scene. I've heard just recently, women cannot find fights because no one wants to fight. You can't match them up. It's an impossibility. So with a thin talent pool, it's very tough to do. So why is it even in the UFC? If the talent pool is that thin, Invicta, get to work, kids. Get to work. Make that shit a little bit better. Ever since Ronda left, and maybe she was all smoke and mirrors, ever since she left, there has not been one female that was even close to being a star like Ronda Rousey. I was trying to think about it before. The closest I got was Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Big fan. I loved the Boogie Woman. Like, literally, loved the Boogie Woman. Always a big fan. If she headlined a pay-per-view, would I be stoked? Well, I'm a fan, but I would rather have someone else headline a pay-per-view. But regardless, the closest thing I got to Ronda Rousey was Jędrzejczyk. And I see Sonosi says they tried with Nunes. They tried. But Nunes, let's be honest. Nunes is just not that. She's very good. She's very good. She's, in my opinion, the GOAT of the female UFC fighters. Right? She beat everyone. Holm, Rousey, Cyborg. I mean, she took out Shevchenko. She took everyone. I mean, there was debate, but still, she beat all these girls, right? So she should be the GOAT. No, the worst selling pay-per-views were Nunes. The worst. If you look throughout, like, Nunes made records for terrible pay-per-views. The numbers. Why is that? She's not a star. She's not a star. Moss only watches UFC. Tell me when the next Invicta event is. Tell me. Oh, wait, there isn't one. Tell me the one championship, KSW, the fucking, I don't care, the your mother's pussy, Ryzen. Oh, yeah, great. That fucking Stamp Fairtex girl. I mean, get the fuck out of here. It's just simps. Like, it's getting down to the point where it's like, basically, okay, I want to look at it. I want to look at the ass. If the women were all hot, would we still care? If they weren't hot, would we still care? No. We need some sex appeal to make it somewhat interesting. It's smoke and mirrors. It's how they package it. It's how they market it. Think about it. Just think about it here, man. And I was a proponent of women's MMA when Ronda came in, and I enjoyed that they were trying to build it up. It's failed. It's a failed thing, especially at the highest of the high with the UFC. It's failed. If you want to keep it on the other organizations, fine. I don't watch them, so fine. Watch the other organizations. Have a blast. But with the UFC, it caters to the hardcores and the casuals. It's the biggest mainstream organization you got out there. Any other big mainstream sport, they don't have the fucking second period women's game in between the men. Never happens. And let me know in the chat if you're a female. What do you think of women's MMA? Be honest with me. I'm not going to just roast you. My wife doesn't like it. She's a female. I checked last night. There's no penis there. I can confirm. She does not have a cock. The poll has it right now. 53% say no. 47% say yes, keeping them in. So still close, but smidge in the other direction. I got some alerts. Let's play them. Oh, the cops are coming.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Sadosi.
I'm in the process of tackling this subject in a vid. How to improve the sport of women MMA. I feel we are in pre-Zuffa age of WMMA to compare to current men MMA. Also, Sodiq is a dork. Ignore him.
Sodiq did respond, and you can go check us out. Thank you, Sonosi. You can check us out at the MMA-Holes on X, Twitter, whatever, and you can see the comments. And this inspired this video. It inspired this video. I have nothing against women. I have nothing against women trying to compete at the highest of levels in combat sports. In fact, I want them to be good. I was a fan when Ronda was doing her thing. I was a massive fan. Massive fan. And I gave it a chance many years after, saying, okay, all right, that's a good fight. That's a solid fight. Zhang versus Jacek, banger, classic. You know, like we could name a bunch of them. Holly Holm upsetting Ronda Rousey, massive upset. Juliana Pena on Nunes, massive upset. You see those. They happen. But they're few and very far between. I think fixing this, since the testing, the pool is so small, Invicta doesn't have any events scheduled. That means these women that are competing in the UFC should be in Invicta. In fact, can the UFC just gobble up Invicta? I don't know. Do they have any connection? I mean, I know they feed from there, but can you just gobble them up? Can you just buy them out or something? I'm sure it'd be pretty cheap. $5, I don't know. Gobble them up and have the WUFC have the name connected. It's a sister company, so there is connection. All right, so fucking let's fucking move. Let's take the talent pool from Invicta, the talent pool from the UFC. I mean, Invicta at least has atomweight, right? Does Invicta have 145? Guess what? The UFC doesn't. Check this out. UFC doesn't even have 145. It's gone. They made the weight class for Cyborg and kicked her out. Doesn't even exist. You have Pennington right now who had a fantastic win. Upset win. Good for her. I'm very happy for her. I bet she had crazy lesbian sex afterwards. You have Alexa Grasso, who's looked like a G. You have Zhang Weili, who right now on the UFC roster, probably my favorite. You got Erin Blanchfield, who's fun, but she's, she's kind of posted a little provocative on social media, trying to get that social media following up. If Erin Blanchfield left the sport, would I care? No, I wouldn't. I mean, nothing against her. I just wouldn't give a fuck. If Zhang Weili, who happens to be my favorite on the roster right now, if my favorite female fighter is Zhang Weili, they threw her on UFC 300. If she said, I want to have kids, I want to do this and that, and I want to leave, I'm fine. I'm fine. If John Jones said he wanted to officially retire, well, I'd be like, well, that sucks. Or any of the champions. Any of these champions, maybe I'll let Leon go. Leon probably can go, maybe Pantoja's all right. Even though he had a dud in his last fight, he's okay. He's had some pretty good fights. But some of these other champions, I'd be like, that sucks. If they just up and retire, I'm not saying these are all superstars here, but I care more about these guys retiring than Zhang Weili. I mean, it's the God's honest truth. I want to get lie detectors and see people that, are want to keep this thing going. I want to put you up to lie detectors. I want to see what's going on here. Now I do want to get the other opinion here. Let's see. We got WMA is fun. Go fight if you don't like it. Well, that's a great argument. It's like a fucking 10-year-old. WWE is fun. WMMA is fun. Very nice. Good argument. I need more. I need more heat, baby. You got to do better than that, than it's just fun.
Oh, super chat.
You know what else is fun? Playing darts.
If Adesanya was ready to come back, they would have announced him versus Strickus already. He must not have gotten over that beating he took from Strickland.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We still have to find out who is going to be the main event of UFC 300. For some reason, I'm thinking Adesanya's still in the mix. Now there's more rumblings about Conor McGregor and Chandler back in the mix for 300. I have a feeling there's going to be a pretty big announcement. What direction we're going to go, who knows? Who the hell knows these days? Who knows? Thank you so much, Fight Sport Talk. Really appreciate the donation. Let's see what other comments we have over here in the chat. A beautiful chat we have tonight, and a very controversial topic. What happened to Ronda Rousey? She's retired. Well, she's in WWE, right? I would gladly accept the Lou detector. I love fighting. The lie detector, and I like fighting too. I actually like it very much. I liked it so much, I decided to make a show around it. Doing it for 7 years. And I was a big proponent of WMMA for a while. But, I mean, here's where the turning point was for me. When they started putting together UFC 300, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want any WMMA fights on it. And then I started to ask myself, why? Why do I not want WMMA fights on UFC 300? When they announced Zhang Wei Li on the card, I should be excited, considering she's my favorite female fighter right now on the roster. And I said to myself, well, I'm not. I'm just not. And now I'm like, okay, maybe, just maybe WMMA is a little ridiculous. Or when they started putting WMMA, like, for instance, they had a fight night headlined by Alexa Grasso and Shevchenko. Alexa Grasso and Shevchenko headline a fight night for the belt. Why do you think they did that? Because it doesn't draw the numbers. If WMMA was that big and that powerful, it would draw the numbers for pay-per-views and put them on pay-per-view cards where people care. Most of the people are probably complaining and saying WMMA is great. Are you buying the events? Because their pay-per-view buys are very low. So, I mean, help me out here. Why are women's MMA pay-per-view buys low? Are we marketing? Is it being marketed wrong? Like, what's the reason? I can put pages of reasons that WMMA is kind of, You know, like, I mean, come on. You got no leg to stand on other than saying, oh, we're incels. We're misogynists. These are fucking facts. Even the UFC is like, all right, let's get rid of 145. Let's put the girls on the fucking the fight nights. The reason why they put Zhang Wei Li on the 300 pay-per-view is the China audience, and it was probably more of a business move, trying to get more fans, different countries and stuff like that. Totally business move here. Put them on a card that's already going to get buys because you got a whole bunch of other fighters on the card. It was strategy. I don't think it was to make the women's MMA fans happy. I hate to burst your bubble, but I don't think that was the case. They may say that. It sounds a little sus. Uh-oh. Tropic Tom dropping a 16. My little daughter kicking ass. What a dragon. Fight dragons, for God's sakes. Thank you, Tom.
If you didn't want your daughter in MMA, why did you teach her how to eviscerate dragons? Hypocrite. Women should be allowed to duke it out in the octagon as long as they return to the kitchen after the fight.
All right, fair enough. If you put him back in the kitchen afterwards, at least we're getting food out of it. Thank you so much for the $16 donation. Appreciate you.
Super chat.
We got a super chat from Dark Matter.
Ditch women's and introduce trans. Rainbow, dancer, man dancing,
oh boy. Man
with beard, female sign.
Oh boy, that's a whole other can of worms that hopefully I never have to make a show about. It's crazy. Thank you. KC Jones, thank you for being a member for 12 months. Is Highway Run into the Midnight Sun. Wheels Go Round and Round. Think that's a song, and I appreciate you letting us know that you like that song. What else we got here? We got Uncle Mike H. has been a member for 44 months. He says, I love you, Ann. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. So fucking sweet.
Wonderful.
Sonosi dropping a deuce.
Last event was October. Also Invicta has a vacant atomweight, flyweight, and featherweight. International atomweights are fun and Asian promotions do it right. However, I can be objective. I find like 10% of WMMA fights fun. Like 8% of that isn't in UFC.
Yeah, so you have other organizations. Why do you think those fights are fun in other organizations? Because they're fighting lesser talent. It's God's honest truth. The reason why the other organizations are fun is because they are saying, okay, well, this will be our Ronda Rousey over here. Let's package this women's MMA fighter and say she's so fucking good. And we're going to have her fight fucking lunch women. And she's going to keep on defending her belt. And she's going to be kicking ass. And it's going to be bloody. It's going to be crazy. But if you probably insert that woman into the women's roster in the UFC, she'd probably get her fucking twat pushed in. You know? I mean, let's be honest. Like, and I'm not trying to say, oh, the UFC, the greatest fighters in the world. No, in other organizations, there are some good fighters. But you mean to tell me that the rosters are so deep in these other organizations, the women's rosters? I'd debate that. Because if that's the case, why is Invicta not fighting since October and doesn't have an event coming up? We were all forced to believe that Ronda Rousey was the next greatest thing in the world. And I jumped on that train too. I fucking loved Ronda. She was fantastic. I loved the theatrics. I loved everything about it. And we were brainwashed to believe that she could beat men. That's what we were brainwashed to believe with Ronda Rousey. The UFC did it perfectly. And other organizations, I guarantee, are doing it with their stars. Guaranteed. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in the regional scene, there are not enough women to put out there to compete. So what they're doing is like, hey, you want to fight? We got this girl over here, you know, jump in the cage. You never know. You might win a belt. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. So I think what needs to happen is the UFC should take that talent that they have on their roster, what's left. I mean, there's no atomweight. There's no featherweight. Take their talent, push them over to Invicta, and pump the shit. Instead of pumping Power Slap, guys, why not invest in women's MMA? I mean, there's a lot of fans out there, right? A lot of people are pushing for women's MMA. So if that is the case, and Dana White likes to take a challenge, make WUFC, build it up to the point where we can get invested. And then maybe down the road, once you have a solid roster of girls, and this is something that girls are inspired to do, aspire to do, then maybe infuse it back into the UFC. Maybe in about 100 years. I just don't think that day is ever going to come. I think what's happening here is they're forcing it into the UFC because of people that want to look at some women. I think that's what it is. Oh, shot.
You hear that jam?
Thank you for bopping me.
Dana knew the low marketability and sustainability of WMMA, hence why he was against it for so long for the UFC. It was always about money. Ronda was an unstoppable force of marketability when she hit the sport.
100%. You know what's funny? When Dana was against women's MMA, I was for it. I was a fan in Strikeforce. I watched Ronda. I watched Miesha Tate. I was like, okay, this needs to be in the UFC. I was all aboard. And when Dana bent and brought Ronda in, it was massive. But why? Why did it happen, right? Like Bird on Wire said over there. He did it because he's like, wait, I can make money off of this. He knew Ronda was marketable. He knew it. He was like, okay, you know what? She's right. I can definitely sell this. Definitely sell this. So he dragged Ronda in, and we all ate it up. I ate it up. I loved it. It was a blast. When Ronda was doing her thing, it was an absolute blast. In fact, I would love to see Ronda come back. You know? Sell me some nonsense. I'm good with that. I'm cool with it. But right now, the talent has gotten a little bit better, so we're not seeing the Ronda stuff anymore. It's kind of evened out, and we're just seeing a bunch of decisions. And then the women that have rose to the top, well, we just don't care about. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Alexa Grasso's showing her feet on social media. That's how she's getting some followers over there. Let's see. Do you see any of the men showing their feet for popularity? At least Zhang Weili is just a stud, you know. Like I don't know if you could say that with a woman, but I mean, she's just very likable, and she's exciting. Although there have been times where she's dominated so much that the fight sucked. We've seen it not that long ago. But I like Zhang Weili. I truly do. And listen, I wish there was a fucking whole roster of Zhang Weilis. I could probably get on board with that, but it's not the case. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We got some other stuff to get to tonight as well.
Come on, get loud, MMA-Holes in the crowd.
But Bird on Wire.
Come on, get loud,
It's going crazy.
MMA-Holes in the crowd.
God.
MMA-Holes in the crowd. MMA-Holes in the crowd. MMA-Holes in the crowd.
Was it one of Dana's poorest business moves, buying a stock on the way up before the bubble burst? Thinking they could just recreate something they never created in the first place?
This is interesting. Was it one of Dana's poorest business moves, buying a stock on the way up before the bubble burst, thinking they could just recreate something they never created in the first place? Be a little, in the chat, be a little more descriptive. I don't know why it's flying over my head, but thank you so much for the $6 donation. I'm trying to figure out.
Super chat.
I don't know why I'm not connecting, but I may be slow.
If only women could fight in real life as good as they do in every movie.
I know, right? You watch these movies and they're taking out an army of people, and you're like, well, she's got a super serum, you know, and it's a movie, you can get away with it, you know. Like as much as I joke around about it, there are some good badass female movies, and I'm cool with it, you know. I don't need it in every movie, but in some movies there is a badass female that's great. It's a great character, you know. And man, I don't want to make this. Like, I know I made the joke in the live chat. I don't want to make this about just bashing women. That's not what I'm looking to do. Maybe some jokes along the stream just to fucking piss people off. But at the end of the day, like I said, I have a daughter, right? And my daughter, I want to see her achieve greatness. And I would love to see her in the UFC and do fantastic. But like I said, I would hate to see her say, oh, I lost a couple of fights. Now I got to go to OnlyFans. Or I'm in the cage fighting my heart out, and the whole fucking stadium is booing me, but I'm outpointing the opponent. And people think it's boring, and it's a bathroom break fight. Honestly, I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to fucking see that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it should be fixed. I think we've jumped too far into this, and now we need to backpedal a little bit. You can still give women a massive stage in Invicta, merged up with the UFC as the WUFC. Rebrand, have Invicta as the women's UFC. Have fights in the Apex, do fight nights, market it in a way where it's exciting and it's fun, and the fucking simps can go crazy over it. And I mean, there's some people on Twitter that are just strictly WMMA, right? And I'm saying to myself as I'm watching these people tweet, why aren't you buying the pay-per-views? If you love them so much, why the fuck do they have such little paper? There's so many of them on social media, but no one's buying the fucking pay-per-views. You can solve the problem by buying the pay-per-views, but you're not, right? So let's move them out of. Can we get them out of our way? Can we put them over on the side and give them their own stage? This way, one night I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna watch the chicks fight. I'll watch. I'll tune into WMMA. I'll do Fight Buddies for it. I have no problem with that because I know what I'm gonna get. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do a UFC event and watch these fights, UFC 300, right? And say, okay, well. This is just going to be a point fight, you know? Holly Holm versus, what's her face? Kayla Harrison is interesting, but Kayla Harrison's lost already. Holly Holm's 40-plus years of age. Like, I don't know. Do we really give a shit? Like, do we care? I mean, I feel like that ship has sailed. They're just selling it on the weird name value. You know, I don't know. It's weird.
Aw, super chat.
It's a puddle? Yeah, it's true.
They should just be as brutal as the men's division. Cut boring fighters. Chukagian has 0 finishes. Name one good female trash talker since Rousey.
You know, it's true. Now, Caitlin Chukagian was let go. She's managed by Ali Abdelaziz, and now she's back in. Great manager, right? He's done everything he can to get fighters back in. Now, Caitlin wins, but she's boring. I mean, let's be serious here. She's very, very good. She's so good that she's boring. It's tough to beat her. She knows how to win those decisions, you know? But she's choked at the highest level when she's fighting for championships and stuff. And I'm not trying to shit on her, but I'm just saying, like, where's my Caitlin Chukagian fans at? Well, I mean, unless you know her personally or you come from the same neighborhood, you know? Like, I mean, she was in Long Island or is training out of Jersey. I don't know what it is, but I mean, where's the fans? You know, like, it's weird. And the pool is it's like someone said in the chat, it's a puddle. It is. It's very limited. That's why I think we should back up a little bit. Just back up. Not a slap in the face to the women. Still keep the UFC banner, but just separate. So that's segregate, you know? Just keep the UFC doing its thing, have women's MMA build up, and then when it's right, then merge it together. I mean, I feel like that's fair.
Wonderful.
Probably sell more pay-per-views.
Last point wanna make, since this would be dull if everyone is trashing them. ONE FC has only strawweight and atomweight. Their best fighters are in that lower weight class, and on average Asian chicks are very small, so that why you won't see them.
A lot of people are pushing for atomweight. A lot of people. One, they're fun-sized. They're attractive. You're not going to see many obese atomweights. Let's be serious. I think that's one of the reasons why they want that, right? But when you have girls at that weight class, and I've seen them fight, and there are finishes, but I think once the skill level gets higher and higher of the atomweights, that's like saying, let's have the no-fat chicks division. I mean, we already have 115. Why? We should be going the other way. You know what I'm saying? We want knockouts. We don't want more point fights. As the girls get better in their skill set, there's going to be more outpointing each other. Go higher. Now, they got rid of 145, so them going up and saying there's going to be a heavyweight, chances are that's not going to happen. I say have the heavyweight. We've said this before. Have the heavyweight women. I don't give a shit if they're hot or not. I got to be honest with you. I am not looking to watch the UFC to jerk off. I am not. I am looking to see carnage. That is what I'm there for. If I want to fuck, I'll go in the bedroom and I'll have my little naked party dance with my wife. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not looking there to fucking simp or this and that. If I do feel a little frisky, watch a fucking ring girl walk around the cage. Why do I need to blend sexuality with fighting? I don't need it. I mean, it's you know, and we shit on Khabib a little bit for having Eagle FC without women and saying, look at this guy, blah, blah, blah. He was kind of right. He was kind of onto something there. Because, I mean, listen, I mean, yeah, they're boring men fights, but, I mean, majority of the time we're seeing decisions with women, right? So to cure that, you need heavier girls fighting each other. But how many of them are going to say, I want to fight in the UFC? How many big girls are going to say that? Probably not many. They're going to want to just eat, pop out babies, you know, be a fucking awesome mom. Or maybe follow a career path where they're not getting punched in the face. I don't know. Be a BBW porn star, or I don't know. Most likely, they're just not going to want to fight. So there's a problem. There's an issue. We could go lower with the weight class. We could go atom weight with fighters. We could. It doesn't solve anything. It just gets less fat girls in there, right? You go from 115, now they're too fat. Let's go 105. I mean, whatever, man. Whatever. But I don't know. And I'm not trying to take jobs away from women. What I'm saying is if they had their own organization, their own stage, I think it would be more fun. I do. I think if the UFC, instead of, like I said before, instead of going to Power Slap, which they can't find women in Power Slap, they can't find opponents in Power Slap that are women, well, why don't you focus on women's MMA? There's so many people out there that love it. Maybe drop the pay-per-view prices. Think about this. Have Apex events. Try to fill it up with some peeps. Fucking Simpville in there. You know? Let the incels have their fucking men's UFC. Can't we just separate the incels and the simps? Why not? This incel would like to watch the men compete at the highest of level. I want to see as many people fucking smashed into a cage. You know what I'm saying? And then lower, maybe not even have pay-per-views. I don't know. Fucking have specialty events, you know, where you title fights with the women. Build up the roster. See what happens. I think that's so fair. I think it's so fair. And on nights, instead of the UFC pumping out events every fucking weekend where they're thinning out the roster, right? It's like by the time you're getting to like these big pay-per-views, they don't have the big names to put on there because they're spreading everything out. You can compact it, make the fights even better. Every men's UFC fight is even better, the card. And in between have the women's cards. Why can't we do that? Like, why? Why is that such a horrible thing? We could have women's cards, and then every man card that happens, there'll be more bangers. Better matchups, more fun, less contender series fighters. Less guys with fucking 4 professional wins fighting at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? Why can't that happen? So you mean to tell me every weekend would be fun? You got the women's MMA weekend and you got better men's cards? I feel like that's a no-brainer. It's crazy, man. It's so crazy. There's so many answers to this. But no one wants to take the bull by its horns and get it done.
Wonderful.
We got Sonosi coming in.
Oh, and to a point we both joked about. Introduce heavier women. We'll get more carnage that way.
Yeah.
Also, let's be honest. UFC needs sex appeal bad. Look how bad they wanted Paige to be a star. Aaron showing feet. UFC star equals look, skill, and personality.
It is true. It is true. And it sucks that women have to fucking sexualize themselves for them to be a star. You know? It does suck. You know, Zhang Wei Li is such a fun fighter to watch. You know? But no one really, I mean, she's not a superstar. Well, not in the States, at least. Maybe in China, she's a rock star over there. But she's not going to be spreading her legs, you know, and twerking and shit and showing her feet. And I don't blame her for not doing it. I don't need to see it. I don't care.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Kainotto.
I believe the UFC is sexist, part of the patriarchy. Just like the men have the BMF belt, they should make one for the women. We won't be equal until we are truly equal. It can be called the ORBF belt. Ovulating resting bitch face belt. Fair is fair.
You know what? And I know he's joking there, right? But wouldn't it be funny if there was a little bit of a sense of humor in it? You know, leaning into the silliness. I mean, you're sexualizing these women already. Why not have the resting bitch face belt? I'm sure there will be women with a sense of humor saying, yeah, I want to go for that one. That's their BMF belt. Sure. Make it fun. People are buying into the BMF belt as it is. Make it fucking fun. Have the sexiest fighter belt. The hottest fighter. Just fucking go for it. Why not? Sexualize it. Sure. The period belt, where they only fight when they're on their fucking period. The menstruation belt. I don't know. But I mean, you could have fun with it. You could have the women's MMA where it's fun. And the joke goes around all different directions. You could make women, you know, give them their platform and just lean into it and have some fun with it. You could do it. You know? You could have your simps watching it. You could have your people that would like to watch female carnage. You know? I'm kind of with it, Kainotto. It may have been a joke, but I'm kind of with it.
Aw, super chat.
Half naked women? Sure, why not? Stainless stove.
I'm totally on board with women's only fight nights. Mix it up. Make Lauren Murphy fight a female Muay Thai fighter, no takedowns. It would be easy. UFC lazy.
You know what? You're right with that too, right? So if we have our segregated women's fights and you can do maybe different martial arts. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind watching women do jiu-jitsu. That could be sexualized, you know? Rolling around, scissoring each other on the mat. Not terrible. I'd rather watch women do jiu-jitsu than guys. Why not? A kickboxing fight, which we've seen kickboxing fights are fantastic. Right? We know other organizations won. We know they're all doing it. Take a little piece of the pie. The UFC knows how to market shit. Take what works in other organizations, make it your own, and then make that the best too. You already have a bunch of women in the UFC. Why not? Who is the face of women's MMA right now? In the chat, which woman is the face of women's MMA? Is it Raquel Pennington? Grasso? Is it Zhang Wei Li? Or is it a non-champion like Shevchenko? Who is the face? I mean, you got Shevchenko on the cover of the UFC game. Who's the face? JJ? I love JJ. She was my next favorite after Ronda. Once the Boogie woman was gone, it was like, man, it dropped tremendous. Man, I wish Chris was back in. I wish Chris was back in the UFC. I'd rather take Chris Cyborg than Kayla Harrison back, to be honest. It's going to be Kayla. I'm sure that's what they're going for. Jandiroba, Shevchenko, Stamp. Yeah, people love Stamp, man. I tell you what, Stamp comes into the UFC, she gets stomped. You heard it here. Stay where you are. Misha Tate should be Rose. Thug Rose. In bare knuckle fighting, the women actually fight right or not? Yeah, and in bare knuckle, it's a whole different story. In fact, I think women's bare knuckle is actually better than the men. Just as an entertainment thing, it's fucking great. I mean, there's pure carnage with the women in bare knuckle, so I'm all about it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it just so happens with this sport, with the UFC, we need some work. Amanda, she's coming back. I mean, she's saying she's coming back, but she's got the lowest fucking pay-per-views of all time. More brutality, for sure. Yeah, women's bare knuckle. Like, Christine Ferreira is a G. Love watching her fight. Love watching her. Not just because she's been on the show. She's just fun to watch. Christine's great. Whole different thing. But in the UFC, you know, a lot of people, I don't know. If I drag Jessie onto the stream right now, she's not, I mean, I don't know, Jess, you watching? Do you want to come on off mic? I'm curious to get what she says about it, because Jessie's, I mean, if you're talking someone that, like, I don't hate women's MMA. I just think we should make some changes. I may have made some jokes along the way where you're like, oh, he's such a misogynist. But honestly, like I said, I have a daughter, and I actually do enjoy some women's MMA. I do. Most of it, no. But, you know, I do enjoy it. I do. Whereas Jessie hates it. The good, the bad, she hates it all. She just doesn't want to see it. You know, she doesn't want to see it. It's just not her thing. And if there's any other women in the chat that agree with her, let me know. Or if you disagree, let me know.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Here comes Sonosi. We're going to wrap this up.
I hate you. You're unveiling my vid, but this is too amusing a topic. You're right. UFC should not use atom weight unless they get a new Ronda. Truth is, only a few gals are training since youth. Unlike guys, decent chicks can do it to make more dollar.
Yeah, so listen. People have been saying for years the UFC needs atom weight. No, thank you. No. I don't want to see less knockouts. I don't want to see it. I'm sorry. I just don't want to see it, man. It's I'm good.
Aw, super chat.
Go the other way. Stainless stove.
The UFC should have just paid Jermaine a blank check to knock out an infinite amount of ladies in UFC Muay Thai. Easy. UFC lazy.
Yeah, what a difference, right? If Durandamy was just Muay Thai, a whole different ball game, right? Durandamy in MMA rules, different watching her fight. Jermaine Durandamy versus Holly Holm was UFC 208. I was in the building. It was the worst UFC event I've ever seen live, and it's the worst UFC event I've ever seen, period. UFC 208 was a disaster, and it was headlined by a female fight. And Anderson Silva was on that card. But the card was trash shit. It was headlined by Holly Holm and Durandamy. It was in Brooklyn. We left that place like we needed a cold shower. Like, what the fuck's going on here? It was rough. It was really rough. So, with that being said, guys and gals of the chat, let's package them up. Let's put them over to WUFC. Let's make it fun over there. Let's have it. Let's let the boys have their stage. The girls have their stage. In time, when you build it up, we could fucking smush it all together. Just smush it all together, and then it could be a one big happy family. But right now, I don't want to see first quarter men, second quarter women in a basketball game. I'm good. Anyway, that's my thoughts over here. We're going to keep the poll up right now. Yes, people say they should get out of the kitchen and get in the UFC. 48% say no, they shouldn't. Keep voting over there. And we also have a poll in our community section as well, if you'd like to jump over there. Super Sadiq. What's up, Sadiq? Yeah, you helped us inspire this show. Thank you so much. So our chat, and welcome Sodiq Yusuff to the chat. Let's go, champs. Come on.
Wonderful.
I mean, he's in the intro to our Fight Buddies videos, for God's sakes. They have renamed you to Sodiq. Would you like to address that? They've renamed you. Let's see. I mentioned it earlier as relevant as the WNBA. Yeah, so like that's the thing. Like, who the fuck watches the WNBA? You know what I'm saying? Like out of all the years, and I went to school with Shamika Holscore, who was like a phenomenal WNBA player, and I always wanted to root for her because I went to school with her. It was great. I never watched. Like when I did watch, I was like, yeah, this is the NBA is way, way better. You know, and it's been WNBA is going on for years. I don't even know when they're playing. I have no idea. Invicta, there's a fully women's organization, hasn't had an event since October. They can't fucking find women, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's a mess. Women's MMA is a mess. They need their defender. Super Sodiq Yusuff, how are you, bro? Yeah, nice of Sodiq to jump into the chat over here. So anyway, there's really not much more I can say about this. Am I going to still watch? Of course. But are there going to be events where we complain about it? Yeah, there are, because I mean, I don't know. I just feel like we're in a real stale patch over here. There's some good women fights. The Aldana fight was really good. You know, that just happened recently. But if it just went away or just went to another organization, I wouldn't care. Wouldn't bother me. Let's see. Yeah, he does have... Actually, yeah. You know what? Sadiq has... Who you got fighting? That fucking Lopez dude. Sadiq, you gotta fuck this guy up? We need Sadiq to fuck up Lopez, man. That guy is... He's a fun dude. But come on. We still gotta ride with Sadiq, man. Even though he may be Sodiq, we still gotta run with him. Let's see. I don't know if I missed it, but what do you say the explanation I gave on Twitter? Yeah, man, I did a whole fucking hour on it. Let me try to give it in a nutshell. So, man, there's so many points that we hit. Run it back. I don't know if I want to fucking torture our chat with it for another fucking hour. But like I said before, I don't hate women's MMA. You know what I'm saying? But the problem with it is we're just not there with men's MMA. It's not there. And in any sport, you don't see it. You don't see, the men's period and then the fucking women's period and then the men's quarter, the women's quarter. You just don't see that. The level going up and down. And there's some very high skilled athletes, but there's just not enough in the talent pool to have weight classes. And you look at the UFC roster, 145's gone. It's fucking gone. And people are saying bring in atomweight, this could be more decisions. And then you look at the girls over here. Zhang Weili is right now my favorite female fighter. But I have to be honest with you. Would I lose any sleep if she was gone? I wouldn't. There's no real star. Raquel Pennington winning, what a story. Don't care. I wish I cared more. Would I rewatch that fight? Never. My explanation was how the issue is addressed. Incel-like. For example, should women... So, okay. So, the incel thing, all right? There are people that are clear haters of women, right? We know that. We know that very clearly. Like you have the Sean Strickland goes out there, and what does Sean Strickland say? Women should be in the kitchen, men with the guns in the hand, the whole thing. Like the angle that he goes caters to that audience, right? We put the poll in the chat to cater to the Sean Strickland audience over there. My wife who calls the fights with me, she fucking can't stand women's MMA. So I don't know if I should call her an incel. I don't know what to call her, but she's a female and doesn't like it. Me, I used to defend it all the time. I was even a big fan when Ronda came in. It actually made me more excited about the UFC, but it has significantly gone down for me. It just keeps on progressively getting worse for me. Even though we do see good fights, it just seems like more times than none, we're like, all right, I'm going to take a piss now. I'm going to get a sandwich. I'm going to fucking, Or you're making a bet, you're making a prediction. Well, this is a decision. It's easy. It just feels like it's the same thing over and over again. And I'm having sex with her, so I don't think I'm an incel. I don't think, at least. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm a reformed incel, possibly. But what I've noticed on the other side, especially on X, is you do have extremes. You do have incels, but you have simps. People that just watch women's MMA just to get a chub. Not because of the skill set, not because of, they're really excited to see the competition, but they're just excited to see women instead of men in there. You wouldn't be an incel, but if she was on Twitter shitting on them, that would be incel-like fair. Well, she doesn't do that, yeah. I mean, no, because she's a woman. Like, I don't know. I don't try to name names. There are women on the other side of the fence. Amy, the media member, which I think she does great work, but my God, she should shut the fuck up. Like, she says things that are far on one side, victim side. That's fucking annoying. What do I call her? What do I call Amy? You know what I'm saying? Like going on anyone on an extreme side is fucking annoying, right? Either side is very, very annoying. So I get that. But there's both sides of it, right? Oh, Megan Anderson's another one. Jesus Christ. Oh, where? Just crying. She's fucking annoying. But yet, like, everyone jumps to the defense because, they're a victim. I don't know. It's the crying thing, I guess. Pandering to incels, is that fair? I pander to everyone, though. In fact, you'll see I'll flip-flop. One direction I'll go one way, the other I'll go the other way. If you look at our poll, right, I'm playing the game perfect. I got a 50-50. I got a 50-50 here, and I got 50-50 in the community section. But when I went on Twitter or X, I'm pandering both sides. But when I went on X, I noticed that it was the other side. It was one side. I shouldn't say the other side. I should say one side. That was, It's interesting. It's interesting. So you do learn that, like, certain platforms do lean in certain directions, right? Sometimes a herd goes in one way on one platform, a herd goes the other way on another platform. It is interesting. I am not a Twitter or an X guy, really. I post stuff, try to be a little silly, post like some stuff from the show. But Twitter and X could possibly be the most toxic out of them all. It's a great place to get information. Very toxic. Very toxic place. So I do put things there just to see where it goes, and it gives me content for the YouTube. But I don't know. I think I played it right. We got both sides here. This poll has flip-flopped back and forth between the kitchen and not the kitchen. Pretty cool.
Super chat.
Stainless Stove.
Have you spoken about Misha Tate coping cap 297?
I fucking can't stand Misha Tate. Sodiq, what do you think of Misha Tate? I have a clip of Chris Curtis saying everyone he hates, and now he won't come back on the show. But I have a clip, and it will live on the internet forever of him just, repeating. Actually, I shouldn't say he wouldn't come on the show. His manager said, pump the brakes. But it's a clip of him saying who he doesn't like. Who is your least favorite fighter? Let me know in the chat. I need to know. We need to drag it out of Sodiq before his big fight. See, you're definitely not incel, more like incel Piper. Fair. Let's see. That's a big base in MMA. Trust me, I know. Oh, dude. So I'm sure you catch it. So if you were to lean on any side, I'm sure you'll catch it. In fact, when you came on, gave your side when we were doing the DDP and the Africa thing and all that stuff, and I had my peeps on the Sodiq thing came out because you had a hard opinion on one side, right? So people don't like the other opinion. And then they just judge you because you have one opinion. My thing, and I've said this forever, whether it's politics, religion, anything, like no matter, I shouldn't say race, because race is something where I think you could fucking not like someone for. Politics or religion, two big things. I think you should never judge someone for. I think you should never judge someone for that. Like, so if someone is a fighter and they politically believe in one direction, so you're just going to hate that person because of that. Well, no, maybe judge them for what they do in the cage. I'm all about that. I can understand you could lean towards a certain fighter because you don't like their political beliefs, but never hate a fighter or shit on them on social media because that's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But he says they killed him for the appearance? What did they do? Did they that fucking stream got hit with something too, I remember. Why can you not like someone because of their race? I mean, I don't know. Why would you not like someone because of their race? I mean, we're all bred in a certain way, right? We're all bred in a certain way to have everyone has racism in them. Right? Everyone has some sort of racism in them. It's like, it's weird. I don't know why that is, but to not like someone because of their race, I don't know. I wasn't really programmed like that. But maybe. I mean, there are people out there clearly that do that. I don't know. I don't think that way.
Oh, snap.
on Wire.
Come on, get loud, MMA-Holes in the
Coming
crowd.
in. What'd you do, Sadiq?
Come on, get loud, MMA-Holes in the crowd.
Come on.
Got MMA-Holes in the crowd.
We might have to have Sadiq call in.
MMA-Holes in the crowd. MMA-Holes in the crowd.
We might have to have Sadiq call in and talk this over.
Ronda MMA was the stock Dana never wanted the business. Hard to market and unsustainable growth. The Ronda hits, an unstoppable force of dollar signs.
Yeah.
UFC buys in thinking they can build a league of one person and duplicate it.
So the UFC did it with Ronda. It was fantastic. Everyone ate it up. Everyone gobbled that shit up when Ronda came in. I don't care what you say. And people were either rooting for her or rooting for her to lose, right? It was great. She was like the white Mike Tyson. That's what she was. The female Caucasian white Tyson, right? And she was fun. And then when Cyborg came in, they were like, okay, let's make a weight class for her. You know, they made a women's MMA in the UFC for Ronda. Cyborg comes in. Let's make 145 for Cyborg, and that just exploded right in their face because Cyborg didn't play nice with them. They had their headbutting moments, and then they kicked her to the curb. Next thing you know, 145 goes down the drain. Never were they able to do anything with a star in the women's MMA. I mean, JJ was probably the closest thing. Jędrzejczyk was great. She was so much fun. But still, I still don't see Jędrzejczyk like Ronda, like the megastar that Ronda was. She was a big star. I was a big fan. But with the casuals and all that stuff and the pay-per-view buys, never really quite did what Ronda did. And it's a bummer that fucking Cyborg didn't pan out, you know, to be that next big star. It really is a bummer because she was great. She was so much fucking fun to watch. But it is what it is. She went on, did bigger and better things. She became champion in other organizations. She's doing boxing now. Still a big fan of Cyborg. Thank you so much, Stainless Stove. I like that name. Come back with it better. You don't want them to come in with another name. But let me know, Sadiq. If you want, I'll send you a link and we'll have a fun debate.
Super chat.
Stainless Stove. I mean, that was Bird on Wire. Thank you, Bird on Wire.
Bro, Jessica I retired. She wasn't cut. Cut bums.
Oh my God, Jessica I. Jessica I was on a small podcast I saw not that long ago. It was Bro Plata, I think it was. Right? Jessica I. Ohio's own Jessica I. You want to hear something funny? One of my worst predictions ever was a Jessica I prediction. Let me know in the chat if you could figure out which that was. Are you coming up with names for Sadiq? Let's see if we can get him on the show. Let's see. I thought she would beat someone. I don't know. For some reason, I was like, oh, she's going to shock the world here. And boy, oh boy, did I look like a fucking idiot in that one. All right, guys, help me out in the chat. Let's give Sadiq a new nickname. He does not like Sodiq, although it does flow. That's very Colby Covington-esque. Let's try to get another one over here for Sadiq. Oh, how dare you, Ninja? How dare you, Dusty Cole? She fucking got killed in that fight. I don't know what I was thinking. Ronda was a one-trick McKenzie Dern. No, one trick? Come on, man. They packaged that perfectly with Ronda. Even the fucking walkout was great. Listen, it's easy to say now, but there was a time where I had a good argument. You go back to the streams. Go way back. Go way back to the streams where I had an argument. Definitely, probably my worst pick ever. I've had some bad ones, but that was probably my worst one ever. And it could be my bias against Shevchenko. Not a big Shevchenko fan. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Dictator sounds cool. Did anyone come up with... Oh, here we go. So Dictator. Yeah, did anyone say Sadiq? Did anyone say... I mean, I feel like that's the easy one. That's too easy. Sadiq, you suck. That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. Sadiq, what do you think about that one? Oh, shit. Oh, fucking hell, man. Oh, that's fucking funny. The Sonosi guy's a loser. He's not a fan, yeah. So Sonosi, oh, Sadiq, you want to come on with Sonosi? Sinosi has been fucking riding you. I've been actually Sinosi. Am I right? I've been defending Sodiq, but Sinosi's been riding you, man. When you lost with Barboza, I was crying, and fucking Sinosi was shitting on me. All right, let me get you the link. What are we doing here? Let's get him in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get Sodiq Yusuff on the show. Come on, what are we doing here? It's been long enough. What are we waiting for? Let me fire this up real quick. I'm going to send you a StreamYard. I'll send it. I guess Twitter works, right? All right, let's do that. Let's set this up. All right, give me a sec. Did not expect to have a guest on tonight who just trying to trigger the internet with female MMA, but look, we've been graced with the presence of Sodiq Yusuff. Let's do this. All righty. I'm firing up StreamYard. Okay, let's get the link. Bada bing. Hey, we got Frankie Edgar on. Now we're having Sodiq Yusuff. We got some, by the way, tomorrow. Well, what day is today? Today's Monday. Wednesday. We have some young men. Dada 5000's cousin and some other gentleman that's fighting on Fight Pass. We're doing a favor for a promotion that reached out, and young men that want to come on the show. I think one's Nigerian, actually, Sodiq. I think one is a Nigerian brother. So that's on Wednesday, so tune in for that, guys. As we're going to do that. Okay, let's do this. All righty. Here we go. Paste it. All right, so I sent you a StreamYard link. My program is not set up for a guest right yet, but since I am the talent, the producer, the handsome man, I do it all here. I got it all taken care of. So if you're just jumping in, we're going to get Sodiq Yusuff on the show. We'll talk about some of our controversial topics. Perfect guy to have on the program. Big fight coming up. We'll talk about that. And, yeah, maybe we'll get Sinosi in. Maybe we'll get Sinosi on the program as well. Talk to Sodiq. Hey, you hear us, Sodiq?
This is the second time I came on here just to get shitted on, man. You see, you can't say I haven't done anything for you, Chris.
I appreciate it. Hold on a second. Let's get you on the screen here. Here we go. All right, move this over.
No, I'm definitely not gonna spend time talking to your troll though. I just came to talk to you.
Okay, well I appreciate. Yeah, so Sinosi is a gentleman. He's a very big donator, so you might want to get on his good side. You never know. He might be throwing you a couple of bucks.
Nah, I mean, I guess if I could find out why he doesn't like me, then I might get on his good side. But hey, I don't know if you caught it earlier. What I was commenting on, I don't know if you misspoke, but you said there's a lot of things people cannot like people for, and you was going, and then you got to racing. You was like, no, that's okay. You cannot like someone for that race.
You definitely heard me wrong. No, you definitely heard me wrong.
No. I think you misspoke. That's why. That's why I wanted you to correct it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, Sodiq, I just don't like black people. Is that okay or no?
I was like, there's no way he meant what he just said.
Yeah. I get misquoted, or I just stick my foot in my mouth, which happens a lot.
Yeah. Nah, it's all good. You got once you reach a certain like frame of being famous enough, people just clip that.
Did I say that?
And put it out there.
Holy fuck! Someone clip it and send it to me. I'll make it a short. Oh shit!
Hey, you see, if you make it a short, you'll be doing that piping that I was talking about. Yeah. The incel piper.
Yeah, maybe I did say it. Oh fuck! I gotta re-listen. You know what's funny? I had Frankie Edgar on, and I'm talking to him, and then I called him Frankie Edwards at one point, and then everyone was just fucking shitting on me in chat. I'm like, what the fuck? Did I really say that? I don't know, man. Do you have kids?
No, I can't wait to have one though.
Okay, but you have a steady girlfriend or a fiance, or are you married?
Yeah. For quite some time. We've been together for a minute.
I think you should have kids after the UFC, because as soon as I had kids, my brain started to go like fucking.
You'll be surprised. I've actually gotten that from other fighters before, but I'm one of those people like having kids was like a big thing I always looked forward to, you know. So even like me waiting this long was kind of a sacrifice already.
Yeah, like look at Conor McGregor. He had kids. He just starts losing. This guy, all of a sudden, he became a complete.
I think Connor's more. He had success, not kids.
Oh, okay.
And you could make a very good argument. Connor stopped losing a long time ago.
That's true. That's true.
Connor stopped losing a whole long time ago. I know. Let's stop wasting your people's time, man.
Yeah.
You know what they want to hear us talk about.
Yeah. All right. Tell me why should we like women's MMA?
Okay, so my thing, and I feel like you're going out of your way to not understand what I wrote, because what I wrote did not say anything about liking women's MMA or not. Like you said, your wife doesn't like women's MMA.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to like. I don't like table tennis. To be honest, the only sport I watch is fighting. I only watch like kickboxing, boxing, mixed martial arts. I don't watch any other thing. But you would never catch me online talking shit to these women, you know. Like, that's why I said the incel thing, like people calling people incel isn't, you're not an incel because you don't want to watch women's fighting. You're an incel because of how you address it, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm saying the things that the example I gave on Twitter was the guy that said the women were invading his space. and things like that, like stuff like that is hilarious to me, because the image that you used for voting for yes or no, and it was like the redhead like liberal chick screaming. That's how I picture the people that say get women's MMA out of my space, you know. But it's like flipped backwards for some reason.
Yeah, so I wanted to put Sean Strickland there because he's lit the fire again of, you know, women should be in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah.
I told Strickland is like king incel. He's like, if you're the incel Piper, like he's like the emperor, you know. so it's like, obviously Sean Strickland's not an incel, but you pander to your audience, you know. And I'm one of those people that, like you said, I get criticized. I feel like that's balance when you could get criticized by both sides. You know, obviously I'm a UFC fighter, so every once in a while I'm going to get criticized for being like super right wing. But then I get criticized by you guys when I call out people acting like incels, you know. So
are you actually? That's a good. I'm actually curious. Are you right or left wing? Would you say?
Man, I'm neither, man. I'm freaking Nigerian. If anybody knows about corrupt politicians, in my mind, they're all pieces of shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I always find people that stand on one side or the other. Like, that's just so weird to me. You know, so I'm always finding myself in conversations like this. That's why I don't mind coming on your show whenever stuff like this happens, because this is kind of like my daily life. Either being too woke or too ignorant, you know. So it is what it is.
It's interesting you say that, because I have never come out. I mean, I may come across as one side, but I never come out and say, "Hey, I am team this side." I've never done that, and I feel like I would shoot myself in the foot if I did that. You know,
man, I think the teams, being on teams is like a good way to hold back your people. You know,
yeah,
because a lot of times there's good things on the other side, and people are just so focused on being team this, team that they'll gladly throw away votes or throw away who they want to support just because of their team is losing.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. I got an alert over here. Let me play this real quick.
Super chat.
This is from Stainless Stove. This is quite the name.
Beta Korea retired. She wasn't cut. Cut bums. Korea is only remembered for her TW working. WMMA is full of bums. Build Muay Thai around look Boonmi.
Did you hear that, Sodiq?
Yeah. Oh, I came in just when you was talking about your daughter.
Okay.
And I was like, that's actually a good reference point that I feel like we could actually speak on, because one day your daughter is gonna have goals and dreams like you was talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's definitely gonna be trolls and self-shitting on her dreams if social media sticks around long enough, you know.
100%. 100%. I know it.
Shitting on her dreams, you know. So I feel like once that happens and you get a better connection to these people, because you don't train at all, do you? Do you do any training?
I train nothing right now. I train nothing.
Okay.
Dude, I am
so
fucking.
I feel like it'll be different. It'll be different, not different as in like you want to watch the sport, but it'll be different in like the way you talk about it from not wanting to watch it if you actually train with these women, you know?
Yeah.
Or if you knew any of these fighters. Like the verbiage would change. Trust me, I have a million teammates that don't like watching women fighting either. It's just the way that is addressed, you know. That's why I put that explanation on Twitter. It's like, you just because you don't want to watch the women's fight doesn't make you an incel. I have 100 teammates that are close to me that don't want to watch women's fighting. And even like you said with your wife, there's some women that don't want to watch women's fighting. It's just the way that it's addressed.
If I were to hook you up to a lie detector test and say, do you enjoy women's MMA, which way would it go?
It will go, to be honest, it will go yes, but it will only go yes as far as watching men's MMA go.
Okay.
Because I'm not a good test for that, because I'm not an average fan. I'm a UFC fighter, you know. So I'm not watching it from the aspect of trying to see knockouts. From me watching it, the things that I might find satisfying in a fight might seem completely boring to you, you know, like watching footwork and stuff like that. Those just like long drawn out decisions that might be boring to you, I might find something valuable in that. So I wouldn't be a good test. And like people, I mean, to be honest, you bringing up Sean Strickland, his fighting style is not that much different from a lot of women MMA fighters.
I agree.
It's just he just doesn't get the criticism for it, you know. But I love watching his fights, you know. So I wouldn't be a good gauge for that. And if the lie detector ended up saying false, then it will also say false for me watching men's MMA, because I'm getting the same thing from both of them. If that makes sense. That's fair.
That is fair. And like, it's funny you bring up Strickland, because I love Strickland, but I have been bored. I have actually been bored in some of his fights. Now, DDP's fight, I actually was very entertained by that one. Yes. But there have been fights where I'm like, oh man, is he just gonna jab him the whole time? Like, what's going on here? But
yeah, you see, but you would never call for them to stop putting Sean Strickland in the damn UFC.
you know, I have. So in fairness, I've shit on Strickland so hard where they're like, oh, you're this, you're that. Like, so I am such a flip flopper. That I think that's why people hate me, is because 1 minute I'll do a show one way, and then I'll literally go the completely other way in another show.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I always say, man, I'm quick to apologize and quick to change my mind, you know. So I think that's what makes a balanced human beings. Everybody online now feel like they gotta like stick to one side and like die on that hill, but I think the right thing is to be balanced, be equal, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing with the incel thing is literally only coming from the way that it's addressed. You could 100% not care about watching women's fighting, but you know how you would talk about it if you had skin in the game, you know?
Yeah.
So even if you don't have skin in the game, you could just try to visualize what it's like. And you like you said, I know you say you never fought before, but if you know the type of like grueling intensity we go through and how it is after wins, after losses, watching some of these women prepare for the fights, you're 100% okay to not watch their fight. But the rhetoric, you know yourself. Come on, you know what incel rhetoric sounds like, man. Yeah.
Listen, you
said it before. You pander to both sides. You know how it is. Like right now, if I wanted to make up my mind to say I'm just gonna start pandering to, like, what did John Anik say a week ago? The lowest common denominator. It's very easy to do, and you will get a lot of love from the MMA community.
So my peak of combat sports for me, my martial arts experience was a white belt in judo. I got my ass kicked at some fucking tournament thingy by some yellow belts. They fucked me up so bad that I didn't even want to do it ever again. And I started playing like other sports. And I came into mixed martial arts late, like like the Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva days. I started like really like
wow.
Like I'm not like UFC 1, right? And I've been doing this show for 7 years, watching the sport for about 12. Right. So I'm actually kind of late in the game. So I am definitely the spokesperson of the armchair quarterback, but I've been watching every event for 7 straight years for this channel. That, like, now I'm kind of like a little bit different. I'm like a hybrid fan, right? So I understand what you're saying, though, because I used to do commentary for like the regional scene. I did cage interviews and stuff like that. I've seen the training camps to some of these young men and women. And the women that I've spoke to, there's just not enough talent to match them up on the regional scene,
Yeah. Now you see how you just said that? That was perfectly well laid out with no incel energy whatsoever.
Well, I got 7 years experience of yapping.
So you see, so that means you understand what I'm saying, man. Come on, like and I feel like it's a little unfair to frame it as if man, everybody that says that you're either a simp or an incel. It's like,
Yeah.
no, if you're online saying, man, I just love Alexa Grasso's feet and boobs, man. I need her to get 50K every night. That's a simp. You will give that same person the same energy that you're giving to people that talk like incels. They perfectly deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. Has anyone ever called you a simp or an incel?
Oh man, come on, man. if these things happen, social media is not a real place, you know. Like
know.
Even based off my life, that's why I was laughing at the Sodiq thing. It's like, look at my lifestyle. if you had to pick a soy boy and pick their lifestyle, I don't know if I would fit in that criteria very well. So you just gotta laugh at like things like that.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to keep you too long, but I want two things out of you. Okay, since we have you here, I have this beautiful opportunity. One, I got into an argument with my father because of you, and I promised my dad I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say it anyway.
God.
I'm an asshole. I'm going to say it anyway. So my dad is Mr. Oh, if you live in America, you got to wear an American flag type guy, and I'm the type of guy that's like, I don't give a fuck what flag you wear. I don't give a shit. Like, if you know where your loyalty is, I just want to watch the fighter compete and whatever, right? But yeah, he said he says he can't root for a fighter if they don't walk out with an American flag and they live in America. Can you explain why?
That's insane because your culture still matters, you know. Uh-huh. And to be honest, I'm one of these guys. You will never find me talking shit about America. America's provided me with everything I've got, you know. And my mom sacrificed a lot to get us over here. But the main thing with me, we're walking out to the flag is inspiration for everybody else that's watching. I don't really care about like I really rep my culture, but it's not about saying that I'm Nigerian. It's more to show the kids that's watching back home that a Nigerian made it up here, you know. So when I was younger and I was telling people I wanted to be in the UFC. I'm from PG County, like Maryland here in America. They had no reference to what UFC was. I didn't even know we had a wrestling team in my high school. So for me, it was like a far-fetched dream until I started seeing people that looked like me. Yeah. So at first, my big attachment was to like fighters like Rampage and Rashad Evans and stuff like that. And then can you believe what a kid chasing a UFC dream feels like when they see Kamaru Usman walking out with a Nigerian flag? Like that shit to this day gives me goosebumps. Kamaru was on a freaking Ultimate Fighter repping Nigeria, and he was wrestling the shit out of people. Like if you're talking about boring fights, you're talking like old school Kamaru that wasn't striking at all. But just seeing that, man, this person came from where I come from, that's a big deal, you know. I feel like the only reason why that doesn't translate with some people is when they aren't like really in touch with like their culture. Like whenever I see like people that are like Latin, people that are like freaking from Ireland, like even like regular white guys, but like, hey, I'm Irish, I'm blah, blah, blah. They have that same type of passion too. The people that want you to just rep America only are the ones that are like, I'm just American.
Yeah, it is. I had your argument to my father, so I'm glad I articulated it correctly because I didn't know if I was defending you right, you know?
That's the main thing. It's just inspiration for the people that's watching you.
Yeah. Would you ever walk in with like half American, half Nigerian, or are you always gonna rock?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I feel like the Nigerian one speaks more volume. You know, okay. I don't really see a reason why I would like do half.
Just
you know,
to win over my dad.
I still go back. I go back home very frequently. You know. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I never lost roots with my culture, and trust me, my mom banned us from speaking English at home. So that was one of the best things that helped out. Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't understand it, but now that I'm an adult, I really appreciated her for doing that because all the other Nigerians that I know around my age, a lot of them forget how to even speak our dialect or our language. Yeah. So it's one of those things that really helped me out.
That's pretty awesome. Listen, I follow you on social, and I saw when you took your trip back. That was crazy because you said it's been a minute since you've been back, and when you
I didn't go for a couple of years because when my brothers died, it kind of really put us like those are like my protectors, and like it was one of those things where I always pretended as if like they were still alive, so I'll always have an excuse for not to go. So I just kind of sucked it up. I'm like, man, I got to make this trip. And to be honest, I made the trip in like a couple of days notice, you know. I was like, man, fuck it, I'm going.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And are you gonna knock the head off this Blink 182 lookalike that you're fighting?
That's always the goal. I always fight the same way, man. Come on, like it's hard for me to have boring fights. My goal is always the same thing each time, and most of the time it goes my way. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, dude, that Barboza fight was fucking nuts, man. That was insanity.
Man, that was a tough ass old man, yo. Sometimes the cameras can't pick up like everything, but like every time I would kick, he would like make these groaning and like noises. I was like, please just go down, just go down. But yeah, man, I have all the respect in the world for Edson, man, and he's a very good guy. I got to talk to him and his family afterwards, and it was really dope. Yeah, my mom prayed for him and everything. His family's really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, wow, what a win for him. But I mean, shit, I thought you had him in that first, man. You must have been like, oh, it's over, right? In that first round.
Yeah, but I really fucked my shoulder up very bad in that first round. Like it was pretty rough. But the only thing is the referee also gave me a chance to survive with the spinning heel kick, so I can't be mad, you know. So it's one of those things. At least they gave me the same favor.
Well, thank God you're on UFC 300 because now we don't have to worry about those pesky women's fights. You know, we could worry. We could.
Man, hey, as long as you stay a rational guy, man. That's why I don't mind coming on your show and talking. The last time we was talking about the stuff with DDP too. You had even though you're on the other side, I know you're a big Izzy hater, but you still had a relatively rational talk. And even with this too, I know you got to pander to your audience, but you're not that crazy.
They pay the bills, man.
I don't feel like it's a waste of time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Do you have a second to talk to Sinosi? Want to talk to him?
Man, come on, Doug. I just said I would talk to you because you're rational. Why would I talk to an internet troll?
Wait, if you were to come on,
listen,
come on.
Listen, the only thing you can really control in this life is who you interact with. All right, I'm not going to interact with random internet.
All right,
trolls.
so you think you didn't win him over? Then are you saying?
I mean, is he worth winning over? What's the goal here?
I tell you what, he donates a lot of money. He's worth everything to me.
Oh, come on, man! Now you sound like a damn hooker.
I'm a whore, baby.
Sound like a fucking prostitute. He donates a lot of money. Tell Sinosi I wish him well. Whatever I did to him, ask him to forgive me. Man, thank you for having me, man. I'm not gonna lie, I do have to get some sleep.
All right, I appreciate it. Yeah, dude, you got to fight in a couple weeks. Listen, after you beat Diego Lopez, just say, this is for you, Sinosi, right? You going to do that?
Maybe if he turns a new leaf.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sodiq. Appreciate it, man.
Peace.
All right. There he is. Look at that. Wow. Sodiq Yusuff. Who would have thought? All right, Sinosi. Listen, if you fucking straighten yourself out, Sadiq's going to look at the camera. After he gets the job done, UFC 300, he's going to say, women's MMA is for simps, and he's going to say, this is for you, Sinosi. What do you think? And he's going to wear a half American flag, a half Nigerian flag in honor of my dad. Wow, look at that. He's awesome, man. He's a good dude. All right. So, holy shit, we went way long on this. I didn't anticipate going that long on the WMMA thing, but look, we got Sodiq Yusuff on. And I got to say this, the reason why I love doing conversations that are pretty hot like this, and like I said, we have 57% to 43% yes and no in the live chat. So it's still fairly close. So I think it's a good topic. I think if we can talk about it in a fun-loving way, we can have a good time with this. Oh, I had you on top chat. Shit. By the way, put it on live chat if you want to see all the comments. I missed a lot of your comments. I'm sorry. Okay. So anyway, I do want to talk about a couple of things that are in the news, and then we'll wind this thing down. Thank you guys for the donations. If you haven't, hit the like button. Hit the like button. And let's see what else we got here. Did you see this over here? Okay. Yeah, it's kind of cool that he got that Sadiq's on UFC 300. That's pretty fucking awesome. So here you go. Bada bing, bada. 413 UFC 300 against Diego Lopez. I tell you what, Diego Lopez is a very likable fighter as well. So and very exciting. So this should be a fucking banger of a fight. But Sodiq looking to bounce back after Edson Barboza. And we got this card come up this weekend to Leeds versus Imavov, which is a pretty good fight. Pretty good main event for a fight night. So I'll be covering that as well. Sinosi, I was hoping you would slide in. I was just going to drag you in. I was going to send you the link, but then I was like, all right, maybe we shouldn't blindside him. All right, let's do this. So before we went live, I watched this Dana White interview. Okay, did you guys see this one? Over here. Hold on a sec. Let's do this. Sadiq, don't sound how he look. What does that even mean? Did you not know leopards and lions aren't actually different animals? They are just different races. The fuck? No MMA-Holes mouth guard. That would be cool, yeah. So Dana White went on this guy's, what's this dude's name? I forgot this guy's name, this politician, who's actually a very well-spoken guy, and one of the few guys that I could actually listen to. What's his name? Is it is that his name? Ramzawami, or I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is. But anyway, he went on this guy's podcast, and this is what he said.
Sticking with this, you think rest of your life? You think
Yeah, I'll never retire. I'll die working.
I will die working. I will never retire. So listen, we have done streams about when is Dana White going to go, who's going to be the replacement, this and that. And I've also said that if Dana White does decide to hang it up, the UFC they're in trouble. They're in trouble, man. Because honestly, big shoes to fill with the boss Dana White. And I'm not even saying this like suck it on the cock. You know, I have no connection to Dana. I've never had him on the show. And I've done full segments of him slapping his wife. You know, like I've gone the other angle too. But I am a fan of Dana and what he has done with the UFC and how he dragged it through COVID. And sometimes he's better than the fights at the press conference. Sometimes you tune into him. He gives you the must-see TV. And he's saying that he's never going to retire. He's going to die doing this. A guy that has all the money in the world says he's going to stay there as the boss. Now, as you get older, you know, your brain starts going a little bit. Your decision making's a little weird. He's got a good team around him, but you're going to start sticking your foot in your mouth a little bit more. And we've noticed too, in the latter years of Dana White, even though he's been on more than off with his comments, the off comments kind of make you scratch your head. And I think it's with comfort and age that we're starting to see that. But still, in great hands with Dana White. The boss. I see all the emojis down below. Drop it in the chat. So I'm happy to hear this. I'm sure there are people that aren't happy. I'm sure there are media members that aren't happy. I'm sure Ariel Helwani check him. He's probably on suicide watch because he can't stand Dana so much. But yeah, he's going to stick around a lot longer in the UFC. It makes me feel good. So I guess the whole conversations on who's going to take his spot, the boss, we don't have to have those anymore. Dana's going to be the man in charge for a long, long time. So I want to know in the chat what you think. Are you happy? Are you not happy about this? What do you think? Did you see the interview? And what did you think about the interview? Because I thought it was very good. I listened right before we went live. I had it on while setting up the stream, and it was actually interesting. Dana's a good interview. Even if you heard the same story over and over again, he is a pretty good guest. He's only 67, yes. You have no idea if it's in the UFC. So you're saying that he will still work, but maybe not in the UFC? I don't know about that. Maybe he'll just stay in Power Slap. Ariel only got 1.5K likes on his video crying about Dana and Sean. I didn't see it. What video are you talking about? Crying about Dana? Oh, and Sean Strickland, you're saying? That one? I don't think he's worried. I think he's doing just fine. Dana's loving the bone broth. Yeah, his bone broth, his fasting and all that crazy stuff. Yeah, he's just living the life, man. He's got the best nutrition people around him. I liked what he said about entrepreneurs too. Like if he gets an entrepreneur thrown his direction, he tries to link him up with the right people. And you see him with a lot of these influencers, maybe you like or you dislike them. But Dana seems like he's staying attached to the young community, the younger people on the internet, the people that are thriving, even though they're fucking insufferable, some of them. Dana's still latching on to these kids because he understands the value in them, but they bring with social media. Not a stupid dude at all.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Here's Sinosi.
Am so touched, being called a troll. I can respect him a little. But I would respect him more if he can learn better insults than lib insults like incel, troll, bot and simp. I can say tonight he is disliked less, he not as bad as Ariel.
Bro, you can't put him in the category as Ariel, you know? I don't think, like, Sodiq, I don't know. I haven't seen him, like, really take a firm stance in a way where it was just, like, constantly driving the point home, other than, the whole DDP thing. But, I mean, I think he has a right to his opinion. Everyone has their right to their opinions, you know? But thank you, Sonosi. You should have fucking... Next, we're going to have to do a debate, Sonosi and Sodiq. We're going to have to do topics. Sadiq's like, I deal enough with that shit online.
Super chat.
Free to chill.
If Ronda Rousey were still fighting, would you be more pumped for women's MMA? She always brought it him ho.
100%. 100%. I think women's MMA, it needs a fabricated star. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they need someone like a more WWE-esque thing, like Ronda Rousey, that's getting the job done. They market it, they sell it that she could beat men. You know, I think they need that. I wish Cyborg was back. If Cyborg was back, I'd get, very excited. But unfortunately, I showed the women that are on top, and they don't do it for me. And listen, like I said in the beginning, I was defending women's MMA in the UFC. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, but as time has passed, it's just not for me. And Sodiq has the other side of the story where it's basically, he's in the gym, he lives, he breathes this stuff, right? So technique is something that he likes to watch, yet he has training partners that don't like WMMA that are in it. So it depends. It's a matter of preference. But for me, I just want the best product. At the end of the day, I don't hate women's MMA. I just wish it was better. It's that simple. I don't need to sit there and get a Sodiq. No, Sodiq. I shouldn't term it the Sodiq term. I don't need to sit there and get a lesson on technique. I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be entertained. At the end of the day, I want to see knockouts. I want to see submissions. I want to see decisions that are wars. That's what I want to see. I want to see CTE. That's what I want to see. I'm in there for the carnage, baby. That's what I want to see. But I could appreciate a good technical fight. It's just when I don't like to watch a TV show when you know the outcome. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to know the outcome before it even happens. I don't like knowing the ending. In a lot of these women's MMA fights, you're just like, well, this is going to be a decision. That one's going to win. That's my problem. Super heavyweight would be easy to round up women's fighters. I wish, but I don't think we have enough fatties that want to get in a cage. She could beat men. Who can she beat, Sodiq? Wait, what are you talking about? Who's he talking to? Let's see. You wear your hair like that for a reason. Gay. You spelled gay wrong. I wear this. This hairstyle has been a hairstyle many, many years. Many, many years I've had this. Probably before you were born. And I've fluctuated. I've gone back and forth. I've had long hair. I've had all different hairstyles. I've shaved it. Many different hairstyles. And I always go back to the Moss. And this is going to be the Moss Hawk. I'm growing it out in the back a little bit. So I'm going to have a little Moss Hawk mullet. And you guys will be very intimidated by it. And this makes me happy. Men's heavyweight fights suck. I agree. I tell you what. If you got rid of men's heavyweight, I'd be fine too. I got to be honest with you. I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. I have a friend that all he watches, all he cares about is Brock Lesnar and heavyweight fights. He doesn't give a shit. He wants to watch the strongest, biggest men on the planet compete. I am not that guy. I like heavyweight fights, don't get me wrong, but you go past a round or two and you want to literally off yourself. Men's heavyweights is a problem. So I think in men's heavyweights, after you go a round and a half, you throw weapons in there. Or, I don't know, you dangle some food in the side. So they give them, I don't know, something. I need something here. But men's heavyweight fights, yeah, they go past a certain round. It's a problem. Every once in a while, you get a Hunt versus Bigfoot Silva, which is one of the best fights I've ever seen. The first one. Put more Brock Lesnar. Yeah, put more steroids in there. I don't know. But we've had UFC fighters come on the show, Jordan Levitt, and say that men's heavyweight is horrific. We've had fighters come on. I think a lot of fighters would agree. I mean, are they the most skilled guys on the planet? No, some of them just rely on brute strength, right? So I get it. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Okay. But, you know, the good news is when you got guys like Aspinall and John Jones moving up there, you got more athletic, well-rounded fighters. That's a good sign. Still, I mean, if you go to men's heavyweight, you got the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? You go to women's MMA, who do you got? You got Raquel Pennington. I mean, January Lee's fun, but you know. So at least at heavyweight, you got some real studs. That Jalton Almeida versus Curtis Blades. That's interesting. I'm really curious what Curtis Blades is going to show up in that fight. Very interesting. Okay, what else do we got? Fucking hell, man. So much shit. What else do we got? What did I miss? Yeah, so I said we got the fights this weekend coming up. Deleeds versus Imavov. The Dana White thing, I thought it was very interesting. Go watch his podcast, you know, with that Ramsey guy, whatever the hell his name is. Pretty good. We spoke about the women's MMA. And let's see. What else did I miss? Conor McGregor they keep dangling this shit. I think we're going to get a bomb dropped on us with UFC 300 news. I'm curious if like the other fighters have any idea. Oh, I should ask Sodiq since he's on that card. I wonder if like any fighters, like if there's like, they have a hunch on who's going to be the main event. Do they fill? I guess they don't fill them in on it either. Let's see. But yeah, the Chandler versus McGregor fight. Or now people are saying, like, people are throwing out there McGregor versus Ferguson. Some weird ass shit being thrown out there. Holly Holm unlikely to fight at UFC 300 if Kayla Harrison is over 135 pounds. For fuck's sake. This is perfect for tonight's show. This is perfect. That's what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm fucking saying. Look at this shit. All right. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to some... We're going to go a little late tonight. What are we at, 1:46? Let me take a quick break because I got to take a leak. When we come back, I'm going to play some clips from some Ariel stuff. I'm going to go to the Jedi's thing. We're going to look at Holly Holm's interview over there. I'm probably going to go into a couple more rants. But let me take a leak. We've been live for an hour and 40. We'll do a little marathon stream on a Monday. Thank you guys. Hey, you guys were very generous with the donations. You guys generous with the donations. I keep the show going, baby. We got Sodiq Yusuff coming on the show. I mean, what the hell? You just never know with the MMA-Holes. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Hit the likes, friends. Thank you to UndisputedBelts.com. All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. So a couple other things. Dana White was clipped. I'll probably get nailed on this, but who cares? You guys were nice enough to donate. Okay.
You know, if you want to, we had a guy early on when the COVID thing started, Tyron Woodley. He came out and Black Lives Matter everything. I think he had Black Lives Matter socks on. He was covered head to toe in Black Lives Matter. And at the
covered head to toe in Black Lives Matter. Oh, boy.
Press conference leading up to his fight, they would ask him a question. He'd say, Black Lives Matter. They'd ask him, Black Lives Matter. Didn't say shit to him.
I remember that press conference. That was actually pretty funny. He did didn't Marshawn Lynch, he did something like, next question, but Tyron Woodley just took it and said Black Lives Matter.
No problem. Knock yourself. Then we got Colby Covington, who's the complete opposite of the spectrum, right?
Were both of them good fighters?
Right.
Both of them are good fighters?
Yeah. But whether they're good, they're not good, this is America.
Yeah.
Everybody can have their own opinion.
That's right.
I'm not telling anybody what to do, what to say, what to think, how to feel. We're human beings in America. Do your thing. Knock yourself.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's right. Thank you, Terry. That was it.
So, I got the platform, and people get pissed off. People get offended. People get this and that. We just had it happen with Sean Strickland. I don't know if you saw this up in Canada.
No.
We're up in Canada. Sean Strickland said a lot of things. I don't agree with 95% of what this guy says. But it's his right to say it. And if you don't like it, tune in on Saturday night. He's going to be getting punched in the face. Okay? Yeah. If you don't like him, you get to see him get punched in the face. So there you go.
Root for the other guy.
Exactly. Don't get too.
That's exactly what we said. Remember what we said? Like, that's the beauty of the UFC. Let these guys spew whatever nonsense. Whatever. I don't know. Who cares, man? Let them just go. They're literally going to get in their underwear and fight in a cage, And Sean lost. So anyone that was anti what Sean said, Sean lost. People are crying about the decision, regardless. An L is an L, right? They got to see Sean all bloodied up. So it's true. It is very true. I think, when it comes to that stuff, either ignore or watch him get beat up. Let's see. Dana White talks fighter pay. Oh, you know what? I didn't hear this part.
They're not employees, right? They're
actually, before we get into this, speaking of pay, a gifted membership from Casey Jones. Let's go, Casey. Thank you so much. Casey, gifting the memberships.
Members, please get on your knees and satisfy Casey. Get with the Members, please get on your knees and satisfy Casey.
There you go. Hugs.
They're kind of
independent.
But you didn't hear that one.
Contractors. Contractors.
Independent contractors.
How do you decide? You still decide how much they're paid, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you think about that?
So the way that it works is, there's a, I guess you'd call it a standard level of pay.
Uh-huh.
And depending on who you are and how you make it, how you climb up the ladder. So what happens is when you become a world champion, you become a partner.
Okay.
So when you got the belt, you share in the pay-per-view revenue.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So when you can actually become effectively a revenue partner 100%. In the business after you work your way into that.
Once you win the title, you become a
I don't know if there's another professional sport that I think actually does that. I can't. Football doesn't. Basketball doesn't. Baseball
boxing
doesn't.
does.
Boxing. Okay. Okay. All right.
Boxing does.
But those are one-time matches. But it's different here, where it actually has permanent enterprise value.
And whoever is the champion in boxing, you get the lion's share of the revenue. Here, it's dispersed across everybody. We got a guy right now who's 49 years old. No, I'm sorry, 40 years old. And he's on this hot streak, man. And people are...
What he means by revenue partners is a share of the pay-per-view buys, right? Is it really a revenue partner? Well, I mean, technically, yes. But it does sound, the way he's wording it, there's a better way. It's a better way to put it, I would say.
His name's Jim Miller. And he's been around forever. He's been around since like we bought the company, and he's still fighting. And he's on this hot streak right now. He's going to fight on UFC 300. And this is a guy who's been, you know, I guess you could call him a journeyman in boxing, right?
Okay.
If you ask most people.
It's so weird, Jim Miller. Like I said, I used to joke around. Like every card I would go to, Jim Miller was on. And I was like, oh, man, I've seen this guy already. And now here we are, like, worshiping him. He's on a cool run. It's weird. It's really strange how he hung on so long. And like, now he's like he's a fan fave.
They wouldn't know who Jim Miller is. And the guy's made millions of dollars.
Good for him doing this.
100%.
And he participates as a partner?
No.
He's not even on that level.
He's never made it.
He's not a partner, guys. He's not a partner.
Level.
And he's already and still will take millions from doing it.
So the money is dispersed.
Yeah.
Guys that would be considered journeymen in boxing never make that kind of money. Ever.
Yeah. What do you think is different about this? It's more that it's not a one-time deal. It's the fact that it keeps going.
No, it's because what
right?
we do
You
is
got the brand.
we focus on building great fights with great fighters.
Yeah.
And if you can stay here for a certain amount of time, you make really good money. You know, you can support your family. You can pay your.
All right, what do you think about that? So that's Dana talking about fighter pay. I think at the end of the day, listen, could the fighters make more? Yes. 100% they can make more, but it's a business. And it's a thriving business, and it's only been 30 years they've been around. What sport in 30 years have been paying their athletes this much money? Probably not one sport you could think of that says, oh, they've been around for 30 years and they're making, you know, X amount of dollars that these guys are making. So, right, it's not a lot compared to other sports, but those other sports have been around way longer. I think, man, you took 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 more years down the road. I mean, these guys going to be making crazy money. Crazy, crazy money. But that's Dana's opinion on that. Dana White talks about a basketball team. All right, I don't care about that. Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm curious about Holly Holm. So what's the deal? Is she backing out? Here's Aljo. What does he say? Now is how high can I go? How many more mountains can I climb? All right, let's see. I mean, Aljo, if you think about it, he's been a champ. He's defended. Right? Of course, he lost to Sean O'Malley, got smoked. But, I mean, what else does he have to prove? I think he bought his 5th house. Dude, set, right? This dude, I mean, I love it. When I saw him signing the paperwork to his 5th house, I was like, good for you, dude. It's fucking smart as hell, man. Playing Monopoly on top of, just investing appropriately. So everything that he's doing now is kind of for fun.
In hindsight, I do say, and I'd be completely transparent, I wish, like I said, going back to the pay-per-view numbers, you know, the carrot being.
Can I get a bunch of Aljos in the chat while we're listening to this, please? Members, please? Can you just like spam it up at an abnormal rate right under here? I just need this to be filled with Aljo heads as he talks.
Dangled that, I mean, obviously the UFC doesn't know, and I don't know. I'm just being told like this is going to be your biggest payday. So I'm thinking of that, and I'm just like, maybe this is my Conor Khabib moment. Maybe this is the one I can't afford to miss because it sets me up for life. So in hindsight, I would have never had accepted a fight and given my body the time to recover to properly make 135 again, even though it still takes me about 10 to 12 weeks to get down the right way because I have to slowly descend and break the muscle down in order to get down to that weight class. But being done after that, whether I won or lost, I wanted to be done with the weight class. I was over the weight cut, man. I was more than over the weight cut.
You could tell, man, with him grappling and stuff like that, doing like those grappling matches, he's so happy, you know, just walking around a little heavier, you know. It's going to be way better for him.
And even after the loss, it wasn't like, I'm like, this is the way I look at it. I prided myself on beating people at their best all the time, never shied away from the toughest challenges. So for me as a purist, as an analyst, when I'm breaking down fights, I'm looking at taking, I'm studying, I'm trying to see how to prepare for somebody. I got to look at a matchup like that and go, well, was that the best version of this guy that he fought? Like, yeah, he won.
You know what sucks about Aljo? There's a lot of things, right? But I will say this. He's a very smart MMA mind. If you ever see him break down a fight, he knows what he's fucking talking about. And if you ever seen him training, teaching the younger men and women out there, you know, He's a very good teacher. You know, it's just like when he has a microphone in front of him and he's asked a question, he doesn't articulate himself in a likable way. It's really bizarre, really strange. You know, I met him. He's a fucking really nice guy. He's been on the show. He was super nice on the show. But I understand why people don't like him. Like, it's just weird. It's just like every time he opens his mouth, it's like, shut up. I don't know why. Like, it's weird.
Don't take anything away from the win. But as an analyst, as a potential opponent, I'm looking at all those X factors and like, well, what happened? What was at play here that possibly made this look like this? And there's always outside variables. The same way he had an injury coming in with
Mosh, you like him because he was on your show. He was on twice. And we started his win streak to become a champion. And he's from Law MMA, so I'm definitely biased to Law MMA guys. I love Ray Longo and the boys over there. But he does irk me. Like how he handled the knee situation on the internet, I feel like he went about it all wrong. And I don't know. I don't know if he's ever really redeemed himself in that way. But he defended. He redeemed himself against Jan. In the cage, he did what he had to do. You know, it's just now it's trying to get the fans back on the mic. I don't know. He latched onto a lot of MMA YouTubers, I noticed, to help his channel grow. So he'll have that. He's got the property, so he doesn't really need YouTube. So I respect what he's done. You know, in the cage and out of the cage. It's just like it's you know, he's tough to root for. I get it. He's likable, but also makes excuses for everything, it seems. Yeah. Like I don't hate Aljo. I don't. Like I literally have no problems with Aljo. Other than, you know, he might not want to come on our show because of, you know, maybe our crazy chat. I don't know. Or maybe my questions. It could have been both, possibly. Anyway, let's move on. Who cares? I don't know what this is. Okay. Money! He's fighting this weekend, right? Isn't he the co-main event? Fucking hell, man. Moicano versus Drew Dober. When do you get this excited over a women's MMA fight? That's not a title fight or anything like that. Do you ever like, I'm fucking stoked. The return of Moicano versus Drew Dober. Fire. You never, like, when does an WMMA fight get you this pumped up? Come on, man. Oh, shit, man. Let's go, Moicano. He wants the money. All right, let's see what he says here.
What do you think of the card so far?
Let me see the
What's he talking about? Money Moicano gives his thoughts on the current UFC 3. Oh, my God.
Card. I
didn't see any of this shit.
I don't even remember the whole card.
He's a fucking awesome dude, by the way. Like, behind the scenes, great guy. Like, absolute fucking straightforward, super polite, nice, humble, great dude.
Tapologies. I like to go to Tapology.
Yeah, I'm here. Like, just engaging Max Holloway. The co-main event, I don't like.
Which one's that? Zhang Wei Li?
Zhang Li and Yan.
Where are you, Sodiq? Where are you? Wake Sodiq up immediately. Wake him up.
And yeah, I don't even know the other girls. Zhang Li, of course, I know. Prorasha and Rakitic. I don't think that's a great fight. Calvin Qatar and Aljo.
Hold on. I could never understand. I give credit that he speaks English, though, because there was, not that long ago, he couldn't speak a lick of English.
Don't like.
Which one's that? Zhang Wei Li?
Zhang Li and Yan. And yeah, I don't even know the other girls. Zhang Li, of course, I know. Prorasha and Rakitic. I don't think that's a great fight. Calvin Qatar and Aljamain Sterling, I think is a great fight. And I don't think it's an easy fight for Aljamain Sterling.
No. I agree.
You know, I don't think that's an easy fight for Aljamain Sterling. Calvin Qatar, very long. I have fought Qatar before, so very good jab.
He learned English playing Call of Duty. Didn't he say that on our show? Well, he probably said it on other shows too, but I'm pretty sure he said that on our show. That would be funny if someone's like quoting our show to our show, saying, you know what I heard? This guy learned from Call of Duty. And then they're like quoting our show. It's like an Inception.
Long, very good.
MMA-Holes Inception.
Down defense, very tall. That's not going to be an easy fight for Aljamain Sterling. Let's see. Bo Nickel. Of course, everybody wants to see Bo Nickel, but Cody Brundage, he's not that good. And
I love it. I fucking love it. You know what's great about Moicano? He can speak like a fan. He's literally the co-main event of the upcoming card. He can straight up speak like a fan. I fucking love that about him, man. Absolutely love it. So it's awesome.
It's going to be an easy fight. That's my opinion.
I love
Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira and Sarukian. I think that's going to be a good fight. Davison Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt, good fight. Bobby Green and Jim Miller, I think that should be the common event. Bobby Green and Jim Miller. And I'm being honest with you, I think UFC make a very good matchup, you know. Bobby Green, Jim Miller, UFC 300, both guys deserve. Jim Miller, veteran. I don't know how many fights in UFC. I was a teenager. I was watching Jim Miller fight in UFC, and he's fighting UFC 300. And I think Bobby Green is the perfect fight for that, because that's a fight that Jim Miller can win.
Yeah.
You know, so we can see Jim Miller winning on UFC 300, but that's not gonna be an easy fight too, because even though Bobby Green was beaten by Jalen Turner, he beat Grant Dawson, and he was doing his thing. So I think that's a great fight. And we have Jessica Andrade and Mariana Rodriguez. Is that that's it, right?
No, I think there's a couple. Holly Holm and Kayla Harrison.
That's a good fight.
That's your teammate, right? You think she can make 135?
Yeah, he's got. I mean, teammate.
You think she can do it?
I don't know. People asked me about that yesterday, and I was watching her training today. She's big. She's big. I don't think she's. I don't think she's going to be. I don't think it's going to be easy for her to make 135.
Because she's like muscle big, Kayla. You know, like, so for her to hit 135, have we ever seen that? Wasn't she fighting at 155 and she had the cut to get to that 145? I hope she can make 135 and easily, because it does make 135 way more interesting. Like way, like light years more interesting. But if she doesn't, she's MMA guru big. If she doesn't, it's like it's just a complete waste of time. You know, I'm kind of done. Like, if it's going to be a waste of time, make it a fun waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Like Kayla Harrison missing 135 or just able to make it once. What's the point? She lost. It's not like she's unblemished, undefeated, this mythical unicorn. She already lost in PFL, right? So, and she just beat Aspen Ladd, for God's sakes. I hope she can make 135 and she can stay there. Then all right, you have my interest.
Yeah.
And she's strong. I have trained with her.
Oh, wow.
She's very strong. If she makes 135, it's going to be hard to beat her. But at the same time, we have to see her performance, because she is huge for 135. I don't know if it's going to be easy.
Yeah,
she's a big man for 135.
Be a big test just to make it to 35 and then see, if she's depleted.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. And I see Carl saying it. She won't have power at 135. I know Holly will not. I mean, they said it before that she's not going to fight, but we've been saying Holly should not fight Kayla Harrison above 135. The best shot she has is draining Kayla and then doing it, and doing her shit, But at 140, oh boy.
The only other one is Sodiq Yusuff and Diego Lopez. That was.
Oh, wait. Let's see what he says about Sodiq, our guest of tonight's stream. By the way, if you just jump in and you missed Sodiq, he jumped in from the chat, came on the show. This is interesting.
It's the only other one that you missed.
That's another good fight.
Sodiq, you did it, baby. Money loves Sodiq. All right. Not so bad. I mean, how do you say Sodiq? He's never been in a boring fight. Sodiq is a fucking beast. And Lopez is an animal too, man. There's no way that's going to suck.
Because Diego Lopes is a fun fighter to watch.
Yeah.
Diego Lopes is a fun fighter.
You know what? Let me just say this right now. You talk about Lopez first, talked about Sodiq. People calling him Sodiq, this and that. You can't, no matter what you say, you can't discredit how that guy fights. That fucking guy, he puts it out there, man. When he gets in the cage, Sodiq, he fucking goes balls to the wall. So if you disagree or agree with his opinions, you have to admit the dude could fucking, he could put on a show.
Watch
his fight in the Contender Series against, what's his face? Was it the Contender Series? Mike Davis? Dude, that fight was nuts. That was nuts.
He's a guy that he shows like, back in the day, more people used to play jiu-jitsu like him, like he's pulling guard, doing arm locks. Nobody does that anymore. And I think against his opponent. That's going to be a good fight, ranked opponent. I think UFC likes him and UFC is pushing him. UFC putting him in UFC 300 is a big message for me. Like they like the kid, and I think they want to see him succeed. So for me, I will be honest, as a fan, and as
he thinks Sodiq's gonna be the stepping stone.
YouTuber, UFC 300 is not that great. I will be honest with you, it's not that great. It's good. Like I say, for me, the only fight that I'm interested in.
Listen, there are good fights on the card, but you're talking UFC 300, what they were telling us it was going to be. It's not what they said it was going to be, right? Now, we still need to get a main event, of course. It's a solid pay-per-view. Very solid pay-per-view, but what they were promising as opposed to what we were getting, very different. So he's not wrong.
Here is Justin Gage, Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar and Sterling, Charles and Sarukian, Bobby Green, Jim Miller. For me personally.
Sodiq didn't make the list. Huh?
I appreciate your honesty.
I hate the Apex. Oh man, he's full of quotes.
Moicano was born. I mean, it was a great promo, and now you get the call.
As a fan, I don't like to watch fights in Apex. As a fighter, I don't think it's the best environment for you to fight because, like I say, when you have the crowd pushes you so much. And as a fan,
I think we heard this from him already when we had him on. If you like me, that's okay. If you don't like me, fuck you. I don't care. That's Moicano.
Now I am just doing my thing, and if people like it, okay. But back in the day, I used to be more worried about what others people think. But I'm getting older, Nowadays, fuck everybody. I'm doing this for myself, And if you like me, that's okay. But if you don't like me, fuck you, and I don't care. And I'm sorry for the.
That's the mentality. John Anik should adopt that. Well spoken. Dude, him winning again, off this injury, beating Drew Dober, that's good. That's good stuff. And he is getting a little older, so, I mean, the window's closing. He's preparing himself with the YouTube thing and all that stuff. What did it say? Patreon breakdown podcast. So he has his Patreon on the Ariel thing. Good for him. Look at that shit. See, he's seizing the moment. On the top, he's got his Patreon over there. He's like, yo, if I'm coming on here, hit up my Patreon. I fucking love that. Good for him. Seizing the moment. All right, here we go. Holly Holm, my goal is always to get the belts. All right. Oh, man. One thing I got to say about Holly Holm is, boy, is she a boring interview. And her fights lately have followed her interview style. But I will, like, kind of a cool walkout. She has a cool walkout. She's got the Holly's homies that I've been in attendance for when I saw the crowd, and she's got her fan base that really goes for her. What she did with Ronda, you can't take that away from her. I did see her get choked out by Misha. She should have won that fight, but got fucking choked out. And then I see, she's boring as fuck. She was involved in UFC 208. She's been involved ever since she went to the grappling side of things. Man, it's been rough. I understand why she's doing it, though. She's 40 years old. So, I mean, what is she going to do? She has to adjust her style to stay in the game at the highest of levels, right? So I get what she's doing. And I kind of hope she beats Kayla Harrison. I got to be honest with you. It'd be hilarious if she fucking head kicks Kayla Harrison and knocks her out. That'd be so funny, man. That'd be hilarious. But, or wrestle fucks her, out wrestles her. That'd be great. But we'll see.
I think a title shot may be at stake for her. Is there one at stake for you too?
Do you think Kayla deserves a title shot? I guess if you wait, hold on a second. Don't you have like Blanchfield and so you got Juliana Pena? Oh, Blanchfield is 125, right? I'm getting all the weight classes. This shows you how much I give a fuck. Yeah, Blanchfield's 125, so 135. Yep, you do. Yeah, I'm getting the weight classes mixed up now. This is my love for women's MMA is falling apart. So, yeah, what do you got? Ketlin Vieira, Buena Silva just lost. Juliana Pena is in the mix, but you never know if she's healthy or whatever. Holly Holm's number 5. Yeah, I would give her a title shot. Why the fuck not? Who cares? In any other scenario, I wouldn't, but it was slim pickings here. Raquel Pennington's the champ.
I hope so. I mean, winning a fight big like that,
How many times do you think John ran through her? John Jones, his queen.
There's a lot, like, I fought for the belt more than once. And so a lot of people, you know, they think about what the anticipation is. You know, they want to see other people fight for the belt, but you also got to put people in line that deserve to be there. And there's a reason why I have been up there is because I've been currently.
This reminds me of like I Dream of Jeannie, but like if the genie was just hanging on a little bit too long, you know? She looks like a beat up version of the genie down the.
And stayed ranked in the, you know, top 5 for a really long time. So my goal is always to get to the belt. If I'm not fighting for the belt, I don't want to be fighting at all. If I don't have some kind of path to the belt, I really don't want to do it because
I don't blame her. She's been there, done that.
I'm not just fighting for a payday. I'm not just fighting for fun. I'm not, you know, it's with a goal in mind. And so, yeah, that's always it. And it really stinks when you have a loss because it takes you a step away from it rather than a step closer. So
all right. That's great. Okay. She did say something, right, about if Kayla Harrison is over 135, you need to make weight. I would like to get to that clip. Here's Kayla, fearless. She was great in White Men Can't Jump. Good in Cheers. All right. I think we covered it all. Thank you. All right, friends. Well, what a show. I know Holly was about to put me to sleep. Guys and gals of the chat, if you missed it, we spoke ad nauseum about women's MMA, almost a whole hour on it, an hour monologue. And then on top of it, Sodiq Yusuff pops in the chat, and we had him on. He's got a big fight at UFC 300, and we had a nice conversation with him. So thank you, Sodiq Yusuff, for coming on the program. Thank you to everyone in the chat that hit the like. Everyone else could suck a dick. And thank you to the donators. I appreciate you guys. You guys literally keep us going and flowing. And the members, the patrons as well. Thank you so much. Wednesday we'll be live on this channel with some young talent that we're going to have on. You're going to learn about some new athletes, or young athletes, I should say, in the game, and get their stories. They have interesting stories, so tune in for that, for some unique characters on the show. Friday we'll Fook off once again, which the Fook off Friday shows have been nuts. I had to do the last one members only because of the trailer that we showed. But if you remember, you can run that back, and I advise you to do so if you didn't see it. Very funny. And then we'll be back in the fights. What time are the fights this weekend? Imavov versus the Leeds. So 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Prelims at 2 p.m. So what is that? 4 Eastern? Oh, the return of Molly McCann against Belbita. Okay. All right. Just looking at a couple of the fights here. Yeah, you know, it's a card, but it's all right. Oh, you got Randy Brown's back in the mix. I haven't reached out to Randy in a minute. So Randy Brown, Salikov, Moicano. I think they're running this one. This one was supposed to happen, but Randy got hurt. Moicano versus Dober, DeLeeds versus Imavov. A nice top 3, that's for sure. Bathroom break. Actually, although, which I'm confused. I don't fucking know. It's too. I've been going too late. But you got Meatball at the end of the prelims, and then you got a bunch of this stuff going on here. All right, we'll see you on Wednesday night on the channel. Thank you guys again for stopping by. And what should I end it with? What should I end it with? What should I end it with? I'm trying to find a good one. All right. Don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA-hole. Good night.
I wanna grip you with my big bags picture tonight.
Let's take a closer look at the 2 men involved in the main event of the evening.